This is all that southeasterly breeze that is bringing in the warmth and the humidity, and we got a few showers there at the intersection of 27 and 75. Now, as we look at our coastline, not a drop in sight, radar sweeping around clean, so we focus on the temperatures. Our average low is 55. Right now at Page Field, we're officially at 69. We've got 70 between Golden Gate and Naples as we're off to a very warm start. Some of the coolest temperatures out by the lake, where it's about a 3-degree drop from where we were 24 hours ago. The rest of us a little warmer, even though we tied a record yesterday evening. Now, the reason we're a little cooler along the lake, the high dew points, the calm winds, we've got some fog, and that's keeping temperatures down a little bit around Moorhaven and Clewiston. And you can see between the Peace River, Arcadia, Port Charlotte, we got visibility down to a half a mile. So as the winds go today, southeast 5 to 10, fairly light, no wind gusts being reported, and your forecast calls for a high temperature there of 86. Your sunset time coming up at 6:08. That reading of 86, if we hit that today, that would tie a record for the second straight day. That record was set back in 75. Last time we tied it was 1991. Now the record low is 35 back in 66, and you have to go pretty far north to pick up those kind of readings this morning. But look at the difference. Minus 17 right now, Rapid City, and it's 57 in Jackson. We are by far one of the warmest spots here on the eastern seaboard. High pressure there across the central plains, keeping it clear and cold. And for us, we're watching these rain showers and a couple of thunderstorms there between Columbus, Georgia and Charleston. Notice that rain is moving west-east and no southerly movement. So we're not expecting any significant changes here over the next couple of days. You're going to hear me say warm, hot, and humid here a lot as we go through the middle parts of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we keep the southeasterly flow going. It won't be until possibly Friday night where we see a weak cold front move through. That's because that ridge is really building in here midweek, and then we get just a little dip in the jet stream. That's the weak front. Hopefully we can get the second one to come through on the 6th of February there on Monday to cool us down and get our temperatures back to a little more seasonable numbers. As far as your Ingram Marine forecast, 6 foot or less there. Inland water smooth, water temperature at 68. So for this afternoon, warm, humid, temperatures up around 86 degrees, and then overnight, patchy fog developing once again as we stay in the mid-60s. And you can see that 7-day forecast keeps our temperatures well above our average, some 10 degrees more both in the afternoon and overnight, and then just a little bit of a cool down over the weekend as we stay breezy and mild.
All right, Trent, I do want to head on outside. We've kind of been talking about that fog all morning long, and I'm seeing a light haze here, I-75 near mile marker 135. So this is as you're approaching the Colonial Boulevard exit. It is lifting. It doesn't look like it's slowing down traffic too much, but you do have typical morning congestion in the northbound and southbound lanes that you saw from that live look. Also dealing with a new crash over in Lee County. This is going to be Buckingham Road. This is near Orpheus Drive. So this is right before State Road 82, a very busy road along State Road 82 in Buckingham, and that's why we're seeing those delays as you head westbound and head closer to our inland, from our inland areas to maybe the downtown Fort Myers area if you're headed that way, maybe for work. So if you are headed westbound, do budget yourself plenty of time there. We still have probably Immokalee Road being the slowest spot in all of Southwest Florida. This crash has been going on for about 45 minutes now. Westbound lanes are looking to have about 6 miles of backups now. We've seen it go from 2 to 4 to now 6 miles of delays as you head westbound along Immokalee Road. This is due to a crash at Laurel Lakes Boulevard. It is just the westbound lanes that are dealing with that roadblock, and the backups, the eastbound lanes, are in the green. So if you are headed that way, you're good to go. But if you're headed in the opposite direction, again, the westbound lanes, you probably do want to seek a secondary route. That's your morning traffic.
A traditional winter festival is getting harder and harder to put on because of rising temperatures. Coming up, how ice sculptors are working to continue an annual tradition. Well, everybody is feeling it. It's a little bit warmer than normal January, and in other places it sidelines some activities in the winter, including iconic ice castles.
Yeah, so crews in Wisconsin are working very hard to build the glowing castles for the end of this week. Colton Molsky drove down to check in on the lakeside ice architecture.
Tremendous rise and fall of the castle, literally.
The ice castles in Lake Geneva were scheduled to open on the final weekend of January, now racing to adjust, opening on the first Saturday in February.
Yeah, it's a bummer when it melts out and we see all of our progress go away, but it always motivates us every year we look at it as a challenge.
Warm weather melted down most of the work building manager Alberto Huerta and his team accomplished. He says it's all part of the game when forced to rely on the weather to play nice.
We shot up really quick. We were 20 feet tall in 5 days. So usually we melt out to stakes and grass. This year was a little different. We had ice, but just different challenges with thinner bases and stuff like that we had to compete with this year.
The crew has not let adversity wear down their collective spirit.
Just seeing this castle just coming to life, it just having that determination, especially the morale gets kind of low at points when you see the ice castle get so big and then it drops down, and it's just that drive to we're gonna get this thing done.
Assistant manager Colleen Anderson says the team is working at a historic pace.
This year it's projected to be I think 15 or 16 days, which will be the fastest in the company history of building any ice castle this year.
Still to come this morning on Fox 4 Morning News at 8, Southwest Florida is honoring an officer killed in the line of duty.
We're going to take you to the Law Academy, where that officer graduated from. All as law enforcement pays tribute to Deputy Chris Taylor.
Emergency restoration starting on the Sanibel Causeway this morning. Coming up, I'll tell you about the repairs FDOT has.
And this morning we have new information on a fatal crash in Glades County. Troopers are working to identify the victims.
And waking up without water, a water main shutdown, all to start the work week.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 Morning News.
And good morning. Thanks so much for being with us on Fox 4 Morning News at 8. I'm Amy Wegman.
And I am Ryan Kruger. We're going to start the work week here Monday morning. It's the end of January. Let's go ahead and bring things in with certified meteorologist Trent Eric. And it was downright hot yesterday.
Yeah, it was definitely toasty. The cheeks got a little blush outside. Another one today, right?
Yeah, up around 86 degrees this afternoon. If we hit that mark, that's 2 straight days that we've at least tied a record as we're looking long term here for a cool down. And we don't have one in sight until possibly Friday. So let's get you out the door here on Monday morning. It's a warm one. You can leave the jacket at home. We are going to be in the mid 80s later on this afternoon, upper 80s for some of you, as we've got this southeasterly breeze that's bringing in the humidity and the warmth. It's also sparking a few showers down in the Florida Keys. You can see the radar sweeping around and not a drop in sight as it moves through. And our temperatures right now 70 degrees. Cape Coral, Bonita Springs, we're up to 71 officially in Naples, and we should be down around 60 or 55, I should say, this time of year. Calm winds, some fairly high humidity, and you can see the visibility a little limited inland for Glades and Hendry County, getting a little better along the Peace River. And between the next hour or so, all the fog should begin to mix out. But glad to report that we got a little haze in the sky, but not on the roadways on I-75 or Tamiami Trail. This afternoon, it's all sunshine. You see a few fair weather clouds later on this afternoon, but otherwise, get ready for the heat to return. That heat's going to continue here for a few days. We'll talk long term in a few minutes. Let's get a check of the roads now with Lauren.
All right, Trent, as we head on outside, there's that light haze of the fog that you and I have been tracking all morning long. It's lifting and it's very thin here. It's not impacting traffic at the interstate near mile marker 135. That's going to be the Colonial Boulevard exit. Now, outside of the interstate, we are tracking a couple of crashes. So even though we're dealing with just typical congestion northbound and southbound, you see that highlighted right here on the screen where we just gave you the live look. Just move a little further inland. We're dealing with the crash Buckingham Road near Orpheus Drive. We were seeing delays as you were headed westbound approaching State Road 82. Those lanes back to the green, so I do think you're good to go. Perhaps the slowest spot in all of Southwest Florida right now going to be in Collier County. Been dealing with this for well over an hour now. Westbound delays are now backing up closer to about 5 miles along Immokalee Road. This is due to a roadblock and a crash at Laurel Lakes Boulevard and Immokalee Road. Eastbound lanes are open, but you see the yellow right there. They are dealing with onlooker delays. If you're headed that way, budget yourself plenty of time, or please do seek a secondary route. That's your morning traffic.
All right, thanks, guys. It is 8:03 this morning. Traffic may be a little bit slower as you go through the Sanibel Causeway because FDOT is starting emergency restoration today.
Yeah, so Fox 4 reporter Alexandra Rangel is live this morning. She's just before the toll booth there at the Sanibel Causeway with what you can expect. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning. I want to give you a closer look at the Sanibel Causeway this morning. We've had some light traffic. We do have a lot of construction workers, though, heading over the causeway this morning. FDOT says you need to be ready to slow down and even temporarily stop. This is to allow crews to move equipment needed for work, and we've seen a lot of that today. According to FDOT, crews will be driving a sheet pile around the causeway islands to help with restoration. The causeway islands surrounding the temporary roadway are now active work zones and are closed to the public. As construction continues, FDOT is also asking cyclists to find another way to cross the causeway. You're also not allowed to walk across the causeway. This is all for safety purposes as heavy machinery is around the area. Now, because of repairs, westbound McGregor Boulevard has been reduced to 1 lane through the toll plaza. So keep that in mind. This morning, we haven't seen too much traffic through the toll plaza, but FDOT also wants to remind drivers to stick to the 20 miles per hour speed limit, especially as crews continue these repairs on the causeway. We'll be here throughout the morning to check the progress and keep you updated. We're now live from the Sanibel Causeway. Alexandra Rangel, Fox 4.
Thanks, Alex. Time is now 8:04. The Cape Coral Police Department is investigating a crash at Diplomat Parkway and Commerce Creek Boulevard. Now, Fox 4 was there earlier this morning. That call came in around 3:30 this morning. As you saw in the video there, the vehicle rolled over onto its side. We are still working to get details on what caused the crash. Right now, the scene is clear. That road, thankfully, is back open.
Just an awful story this morning. We are learning more about a wrong-way crash that killed 4 people in Glades County. Florida Highway Patrol says yesterday an SUV was going the wrong way on US 27 when it crashed into another car. Troopers say the driver of the wrong-way SUV is in the hospital right now with serious injuries. The driver and all of the other occupants inside the other car died at the scene. That includes a pregnant woman and her unborn child. FHP says they're still working to identify the victims in that other SUV after it caught fire. We, of course, will continue to follow this developing story. If we get more information, we'll update you right here on Fox 4 Morning News.
If your commute takes you on the Cape Coral Parkway this morning, here's what you need to know. The westbound right turning lane, we're showing you right now on the map, is closed from Southeast 9th Place to 8th Court. The city says it is investigating some type of leak at the intersection, but they did not mention exactly what that leak may be. Utility crews will be out there starting at 8 o'clock this morning, so they just got out there. They expect to reopen the lane by this evening.
Well, in less than an hour, portions of Cape Coral will be without water because of a water main shutdown. So this is happening on Everest Parkway, which is just southeast of Veterans and Del Prado. City crews are replacing a valve, some pipes, and a fire hydrant there. The city says that the work should be finished by this afternoon. The water will be back on, but at that point, you will be under a boil water notice if you live off of Everest. A heads up for anyone that lives on Marco Island. There's going to be a scheduled water service interruption there for anyone that lives on Loyalty Avenue and South Flamingo Circle. The city, says the water is turned back on, but you will need to boil your water before you use it until the city lifts the precautionary boil water notice.
In Fort Myers, there is a third day of the Hurricane Ian Recovery Expo. Lawyers, contractors, and insurance representatives are all going to be on hand to help answer any questions you may still have.
Lack of knowledge is one of the reasons why you get taken advantage of. And so an event like this is to give you that knowledge, to empower you to be able to know what's covered, what's not covered, to get that work done, and to not find yourself in a position where you don't have enough money to rebuild.
Now, the event is free. It's being held at the Fort Myers High School's gym from 6 o'clock this evening until 8 o'clock. You can have your insurance claims reviewed. You can also find out about resources that are available on things like contracting, electricians, as well as more services. We turn next to Matlacha, where Fox 4 spoke with the Matlacha Civic Association as people are still continuing to rebuild Pine Island. Now, today, the group will be holding a second meeting to hear from the community to try to push forward on the rebuilding process. Leaders tell us they already have a direction on their next project.
I'm hoping that this provides some sense of hope for the future and for the businesses, that they can come back and expect that their audiences, that their clientele are going to come back, that the people whose homes are gone over here will come back and will invest in those homes, because the people who are here now are the people that we treasure.
And today's meeting starts at 6 o'clock this evening at the Blue Dog Bar and Grill.
Southwest Florida is continuing to work on rebuilding and recovering after Hurricane Ian, and neighbors are honoring those who've worked tirelessly since the storm. Fox 4's Brianna Brownlee is taking us to downtown Fort Myers, where hundreds of people came together to honor our first responders.
Harrison East Foundation stands on years of commitment.
A day to honor.
I said we have you, we'll support you. That's what we're here for.
The first responders of Southwest Florida.
There's always a few, they step over the line, then everyone takes the brunt of it, but not today. Today's a different day. Today we're telling our first responders, including our police officers, how much we appreciate them.
The Harrison East Foundation was founded right after 9/11, and Sunday, the nonprofit hosted its second First Responders Appreciation Day, right in the heart of downtown Fort Myers. The event was to recognize the Southwest Florida heroes after Hurricane Ian.
We have all been working overtime. We have all been through quite a bit, and for us to be able to come out here, bring our families out here, bring the public out here, and just really enjoy a day off.
When speaking with Sanibel Fire Chief Kevin Barbat, He was telling me how the Gary Sinise Foundation reached out to him to lend a helping hand right after the storm.
We had some equipment that had been washed away and had been flooded, one of which was a cardiac monitor.
And that equipment had a $42,000 price tag.
They called me back in 5 minutes and said, we're going to purchase it for you.
Mother of 12, Dawn Caller, was at the event with her children.
I have one, Chloe, here. She would like to be a first responder. She would like to be a police officer.
She says she brought them to meet and interact with the first responders so they can be exposed to the people who keep the community safe.
So they can see that they're just human beings. They're just human beings that are taking the extra step to make this world a better place.
In downtown Fort Myers, Brianna Brownlee, Fox 4.
So grateful for all of our first responders. Well, St. Matthew's House will be hosting 3 food distributions in Naples starting today. So today's distribution starts at 10 this morning at the Paradise Coast Sports Complex. The other 2 will be Tuesday and Thursday. You can find the locations and addresses on our website anytime. It's fox4now.com. We want to give you a look at some behind-the-scenes video and action that we don't get to see every day. These are some volunteers from the Star Ability Foundation. They took part prepping and bagging for St. Matthew's House in their warehouse to feed our families here in Southwest Florida. So thanks for all you do.
Well, this morning, it's already warm out there. Our temperature is sitting in the upper 60s to near 70. Our average high this time of year is only around 75. So we'll talk about our near record-breaking temperatures coming up in just a couple of minutes.
And coming up after the break, the fight for reproductive rights continues across the country. We're going to take a look at the steps that one state is taking.
There could be some big changes when it comes to donating blood. We'll tell you what they are and why it could allow more people to donate.
All right, but first, let's get a quick check of those traffic hotspots.
This is the first time I've ever been in an accident. Went to quite a few physicians. You know, these tests, all these tests that they run, they're expensive. I mean, everything was handled by fairer and fairer. It feels great because I'm not getting a whole bunch of bills.
At 8:14 on this Monday morning, we're taking a look at some of today's top stories. In Russia, officials say that sending U.S. tanks to Ukraine is going to prevent Russia from holding peace talks. Russia's deputy foreign minister is accusing the United States of using Ukraine as a testing ground for its weapons. The U.S. has promised to send more than 30 tanks to Ukraine. And today, Secretary of State Antony Blinken will be meeting with Israeli and Palestinian leaders, all in an effort to try to de-escalate rising tensions in the region. Blinken's meetings come a day after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced punitive measures against Palestinians. This move in response to deadly weekend shootings that killed 7 Israelis. And President Biden is heading to Baltimore this morning to promote his $1 trillion infrastructure plan. The president plans to visit a commuter tunnel that stands to be replaced with funding from the legislation. That project could receive up to $4.7 billion from the bill.
Well, the CDC is making it easier to find a free COVID testing site near you. The agency launched the COVID-19 testing locator website, so there's no charge for testing at these sites in particular, and it is intended for those who are experiencing symptoms or who have been exposed to the virus. Results are usually given within 24 to 48 hours, and you can find this at testinglocator.cdc.gov. We'll make sure we get that on our website too, fox4now.com. Well, the Minnesota State Senate worked late into the weekend, passing legislation to protect abortion rights. The Protect Reproductive Options Act gives citizens the freedom to choose their own reproductive health. The governor says he is ready to codify reproductive rights for people in his state. Republicans offered numerous amendments to the measure, including parental notification and a ban on third trimester abortions, all of which were voted down. A change could be coming that would allow more gay and bisexual men to donate blood. Potential donors will be asked if they've had new or multiple sexual partners in the past 3 months. Those who say no will be allowed to donate. Those who say yes will be asked follow-up questions. The FDA says all blood banks will continue to test donations for HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and so on. The proposed change is open for public comment for the next 60 days before it becomes final. All right, let's take a look outside right now, 8:17, and it's going to be a warm one today. A little bit of a change compared to what we're used to over the past couple days, though yesterday, I think, prepared us a little bit, right? We've all got little ones, so we're used to being outside midday and running around after them. I was pushing the water yesterday.
Oh, yeah, you're walking around. It was downright hot yesterday. It was wild to watch some of the football games up north, and they're all bundled up, and it's freezing cold, and we're wearing shorts and sweating outside.
I love it.
Yeah, hey, well, in that case, you're going to love Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even Friday, because we have got this weather pattern that is going to be stuck now over the next couple of days. And as we look at the radar, you can pick up a southeasterly flow. It's kicking up a few showers off the east coast and a few more between Marathon and Big Pine Key. As this wind continues out of the southeast, it's bringing in a little moisture and a little warmth. The closest shower we have is north of I-75 there in Broward County. So far, none of these showers have made it to the inland areas of Glades or Hendry. Let's talk about those temperatures, though, because, boy, are we warm. Our average low this time of year is 55. We're sitting at 69. We've been in the upper 60s to near 70 along the coast all night long, and that's because the humidity's up, and we are warmer now than where we were yesterday. And yesterday we tied a record high, hitting 87, and with the calm winds and the dew point value sitting in the mid to upper 60s, it's very sticky, and you're noticing the haze in the sky. And we've also got some patchy fog inland, especially Moorhaven, Clewiston, and visibility down 3 miles, maybe just a little less there along the Peace River. But along the coast, we're seeing the haze in the sky, but none of it really reaching the surface yet. So as we look at the winds, we're only expecting them to be between 5 and 10 miles per hour today, but it's that direction. It's that southeasterly wind that's going to help push our temperatures right up to 86 degrees. Sunny and warm, and sunset tonight is at 6:08, where we'll still be mild with our temperatures sitting around 76. That's our average high this time of year, and you can see that record. If we hit that mark today, first time we hit it was 1975. We hit it again and tied it most recently back in 1991. We look across the eastern half of the U.S., and boy, what a difference. Ryan just mentioned the football games. You look at the temperatures there across the Central Plains, minus 23 right now in Rapid City, 18 in St. Louis, 13 in Wichita. That cold air is going to stay to the north. We've got an old frontal boundary that is bringing some heavy rain there from Columbus, Georgia, past Charleston and the Outer Banks. And for us, that ridge is going to hang on. So we're going to see a southeasterly breeze today. We throw tomorrow on, no major changes, and it looks very similar here on Wednesday. The reason, that high pressure ridge builds in, and that's going to make the jet stream very flat, and we call that a zonal pattern. And what that does is keep all the cold air locked to the north. However, we will see a weak cold front right there. It's a little dip coming up here on Friday night into Saturday, and then maybe a more substantial one as we go through Monday, February the 6th. So we've got about a week or so here before we might get some cooler air back in town. Inland marine forecast today, inland water smooth. You can see the water temperature there is 68. So after reaching 86 this afternoon, we're going to dip back down into the mid to upper 60s. And then the 7-day forecast, it's copy paste all the way till Friday, where we get a late day cold front. Could bring some rain overnight and then a slightly cooler weekend. Those temperatures in the upper 70s, still above our average of 75.
All right, Trent, as we head on outside, we are following some breaking traffic news happening over in Charlotte County. This is near mile marker 179, where we do have a crash that is going to be just off of the interstate. So this is closer to Sumter Boulevard. You see the ambulance, also a fire truck and troopers that are on scene, and they're right off to the side of the road. So there is no roadblock, but because they're so close to the side of the road, all of those drivers are trying to navigate around them. This could start to slow you down. So switching over to maps, because it's a little foggy right there, I want to give you a better idea as to where this is happening. Again, this is going to be I-75 area. It's Toledo Blade Boulevard, exactly just before the interstate. Now, the interstate itself not picking up any delays, but Toledo Blade Boulevard near Sumter Boulevard could be looking a little slow. Headed down to Lee County, still dealing with just one crash here out in the Lehigh Acres area, Buckingham Road near Orpheus Drive. We were seeing delays as you headed westbound, back up for about a mile. They are looking a little bit better, so it's a slow go, but definitely passable. Down in Bonita Springs, we have a new crash for you. This is going to be US 41 right at Bonita Beach Road. US 41 northbound and southbound seeing a slight delay, but there is no roadblock associated with this crash. But perhaps the slowest spot in Southwest Florida right now still going to be Immokalee Road, where we do have about 5 miles of backups westbound along Immokalee Road due to a crash at Laurel Lakes Boulevard. Eastbound lanes are also looking very slow, but there is no roadblock there. That's just going to be those onlooker delays. That's your morning traffic.
We're modeling anything we do in the future towards having less staff.
It's getting harder and harder to find restaurant workers. Coming up, how local restaurants are not only competing against each other to find employees. It's now 8:25 as we are taking a live look from the Tarpon Lodge in Pine Island. What a beautiful start to our morning that we have there. That water is looking nice and calm. No big wind. Meteorologist Trent Eric will be looking at a pretty hot weekend that we've got, a pretty hot week, excuse me, that we've got coming up. Still weekend here, right?
Wishful thinking.
Yes, exactly. The restaurant industry is still struggling to find new workers.
Yeah, our reporter Michelle Casano with our script station WPTV in West Palm Beach is showing us the industry is competing on multiple fronts.
The hiring process is even more of a challenge for new restaurants. They're not only competing against other local news spots, but also established restaurants that are understaffed.
I can't wait to serve this food to Boca right now.
It will take around 60 employees to staff.
We are on an extreme time crunch.
Red Pine,
This is going to be my playground.
a new Chinese restaurant opening in Boca Raton March 1st,
This has kind of been my childhood dream in a sense.
is facing the restaurant industry's biggest challenge.
Yep.
Hiring.
Servers, bartenders, and definitely in the back of the house too with cooks.
Chefs Michael Shank and Chi Chan, both coming from Farmer's Table under the same ownership,
Let's get this place hired so we can get it going.
say the industry as a whole hasn't been the same since COVID. Many restaurant employees laid off during shutdowns never came back.
It has taken its toll, and we're still struggling to recover from that.
Data from the National Restaurant Association reveals the industry is short 450,000 employees. More than 60% of dine-in restaurants say they don't have enough staff to support demand.
2 sandwiches on raisin walnut.
It put Melanie Hackman's plan to expand her cafe and bakery aioli on hold.
We're at a point now where we need to grow because of the demands of the new traffic that we have in the area, and it's hard to add to our team and grow.
Hackman said the new spot opening will be takeout only.
We're modeling anything we do in the future towards having less staff.
Working through this shortage.
Have an awesome day.
While making sure customer experience isn't compromised.
Our bar layout here.
And employees feel valued.
I want the people to come in and be invited to kind of join this, new family that, we're all kind of creating.
Still to come this morning, Tyree Nichols' story is echoing across the country. We're going to tell you how a local organization is guiding young people of color on how to handle a traffic stop.
A mobile app trying to help reduce illegal border crossings is causing frustration. I'm Jackie Ibanez with a look at the issues migrants say the app is posing for them. That's all straight ahead.
from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 Morning News.
Right now at 8:31, you're looking live here across the Caloosahatchee, and you got beautiful blue skies with a few clouds dotting the skyline. I know some of you are dealing with a little fog, especially inland. That will start to mix out here, and by 9 o'clock, most of that should really begin to go away, and we'll start to focus on our sun-filled skies. Now, this morning, we are tracking a little bit of rain. Most of this is out over the Gulf of Mexico and down in the Florida Keys. You see that southeasterly breeze kicking up just a little bit of weather there. Otherwise, we're dry from Palmdale all the way out towards the Lee Islands. As you start your day, you will not need the jacket today. It is warm. We are sitting in the upper 60s to low 70s along the coast. Warmest spot on the map is Golden Gate at 72. And as we go throughout the day, our winds will be fairly light out of the southeast, but it's bringing in that moisture. And I know a lot of you still dealing with the haze. You see 4-mile visibility between Northport and Punta Gorda, and then as you get closer to Lake Okeechobee, that fog gets a little thicker. Throughout the afternoon, we're dry. We'll see plenty of sunshine, just a few fair weather clouds. Computer model trying to indicate a couple of showers. I think it's just overdoing it. It's just showing that trend, bringing a little moisture in. As we go throughout the day, though, we're on tap to possibly tie a record high for the second straight day. We'll talk a little bit more about those numbers coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Trent, let's head on out to I-75 near mile marker 180, where we are still tracking a crash. This is on Toledo Blade as you're approaching I-75. We see the light haze right there. This is one of those foggy spots that did have a travel advisory that Trent and I, we've been tracking that for you all morning long. And even though the crash is off to the side of the road, you see a lot of the drivers as they are headed towards I-75 trying to navigate around the troopers. We had a fire truck there and also the vehicles that were involved in the crash. I want to switch over to maps and kind of give you a better idea as to where all of this is happening right now. Again, Toledo Blade Boulevard, that's mile marker 179, so that exit right there, going to be a bit of a slow go, but you can see there's no roadblock there, so it's passable. You just have to kind of give yourself a few extra minutes if you're headed that way. Headed down to Lee County, we're still dealing with this crash right here. It has not since cleared up. Buckingham Road near Orifice Drive, we were seeing delays westbound. Those delays are getting a lot better. Down in Bonita Springs, also dealing with the crash. US 41 and Bonita Beach Road. This is a very busy intersection this time of the morning. US 41 northbound picking up the brunt of those delays, but perhaps the slowest spot in all of Southwest Florida still going to be Immokalee Road as you are headed westbound, miles of backups. This is due to a crash at the intersection of Laurel Lakes Boulevard. It's very much a slow go. In the opposite direction, we do have some onlooker delays eastbound. Drivers, if you're in a rush this morning, you might want to seek a secondary route. Amy.
All right, thanks for that, Lauren. Well, this morning there is a special ceremony happening to honor a fallen law enforcement officer here in Southwest Florida who was killed in the line of duty. Deputy Chris Taylor worked for the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office. He was just 23 years old when he was conducting a traffic stop. This was back in November, and he was hit by a car and died. Taylor had recently graduated from the Southwest Florida Public Service Academy. He got his degree in February of 2022. So you are looking live right now. This is the academy where he graduated from. And this morning, there will be a memorial brick laying ceremony in honor of Deputy Taylor. This will be the 44th brick the Academy has in place at its fallen officers memorial. The ceremony begins in about 25 minutes at 9 o'clock. It's on Michigan Avenue in Fort Myers.
Time is now 8:34. We turn next to national politics. President Biden is hitting the road to tout new federal spending projects. It's a run-up to next week's State of the Union address as the White House hones in on a message for a likely re-election effort. Fox's Doug Lazader is in D.C. with more on the themes emerging from Washington.
The president will spend much of the week talking about the economy, but we're also seeing next week's State of the Union address taking shape. President Biden finished the weekend in Delaware, and a tweet yesterday summarized what will likely be his message in the days ahead. My word as a Biden, I've never been more optimistic about America's future than I am today. Well, today he'll head to Baltimore to tout a tunnel project that's part of last year's big infrastructure package. And he's facing a doubtful public, with a new NBC News poll showing 71% of Americans think the country is heading in the wrong direction.
The one thing I do know is we cannot continue the waste that is happening.
On Wednesday, the president will sit down with the new Republican Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. Will the two find a way to raise the nation's debt ceiling to avoid a possible default later this year? Next week's State of the Union address may lay out the president's case that he will not negotiate on that front. And it's likely the speech will now include a renewed push for police reform in response to the death of Tyree Nichols at the hands of Memphis police, which has touched off protests around the country. His family is reportedly set to attend the address as lawmakers talk about moving forward.
These men and women with badges put them on each day and risk their lives for us. I know that. But we also see from these videos horrible conduct by these same officers and unacceptable situations. We've got to change this for the better.
And there will also be more talk here on Capitol Hill this week about the ongoing investigations into the handling of classified documents. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
And while Congress in D.C. is poised for gridlock in the next 2 years, with Republicans controlling the House and Democrats controlling the Senate, but that doesn't mean that the government is going to stop impacting your life. That's because many state laws across the country are poised to change more frequently because of more and more one-party rule. It's something known as a government trifecta. That's when one political party controls the governor's office, the state Senate, and the state House. Right now, there are 22 states that have Republican trifectas, of course, including Florida. Meanwhile, Democrats have a trifecta in 17 states. There are only 11 states in the country where there's a divided state government. More trifectas exist now than at any time in the last 30 years. This matters, of course, because if one party is controlling your state government, that means more laws will likely pass whether you want them to or not. And according to a professor from the University of Hawaii, one-party rule may mean more laws are passed in more states, but it can also lead to voter apathy over time, along with corruption. With state legislatures across the U.S. just beginning their 2023 work underway, remember that gridlock may not happen there, even if Washington is divided.
Well, Fox 4 is learning more about a possible lawsuit that could push back on Governor Ron DeSantis' decision to ban an advanced placement course in Florida schools. Sinai Jabri-Georges shows us why the NAACP in northern Florida wants to file an injunction.
In their quarterly meeting of the Florida State Conference held in Orlando, NAACP chapters from all across the state were joined by elected officials to open with a main message.
Our intent is to litigate vigorously on the grounds of equal protection.
The group held a press conference Saturday morning to share its disapproval of the state's decision to block the teaching of an AP African American Studies course in public high schools.
My own culture of history, which is a part of American history, is being removed.
Earlier this week, National Civil Rights Attorney Ben Crump threatened the state with a lawsuit. The NAACP says it may file one of its own.
So many people of color have died for us to have the rights that we have today. So we won't shut up, we won't quit, we won't go away.
Dr. LaVon Bracey shared her story of struggles and sacrifice when she integrated the public school system in Alachua County in 1965.
I was spit on every day, I was beaten.
At that time, the NAACP filed a lawsuit against the county school board and won. Bracey says her experience is a piece of America's history.
If my story makes people uncomfortable, that's the history. That actually happened. I cannot whitewash it. I cannot make it sound good because what happened to me was not good.
The Department of Education found concerns in 6 areas of the pilot AP African American Studies course. It included Black queer studies, the movement for Black lives, and the Black struggle in the 21st century. Republican Governor Ron DeSantis stood by the DOE's rejection.
We have guidelines and standards in Florida. We want education, not indoctrination.
The College Board says it will release the framework of the course on Wednesday, February 1st, the first day of Black History Month.
And parents throughout Florida continue to debate which books should be allowed in Florida schools. So on Friday, the Manatee County School Board took up the issue, including a parent's right to request a book that's under review. The district has 30 books awaiting review. The district notes every school library already has a vetting process in place. All right, there's a mobile app, and it's adapted to help people enter the country legally, but the app is causing some frustration. Fox's Jackie Ibanez takes a look at CBP1 and why critics worry the technological errors facing the program may cause people to give up on it.
A program aimed at reducing the number of people entering the U.S. illegally is facing backlash from those it's intended to help. CBP One is a mobile app serving as a one-stop shop for information about U.S. Customs and Border Protection policies. It launched in 2020, but earlier this month, the Biden administration began allowing migrants to use the app as a way to secure appointments to try and seek asylum here in the States.
I'm waiting for the best, to be able to enter the U.S. in a legal manner.
New appointments are available every day, starting at 6 a.m. But the vast amount of people trying to apply is overwhelming the system. Many aren't able to log in, while some who do say the app crashes before they're able to confirm their appointment.
They can go to shelters. We can help people who do not know how to read, those who do not know how to enter the system. Some complain and say, but I don't even have a cell phone. Sadly, they do need a cell phone and email to communicate.
And while applications are available in English and Spanish, critics say it lacks other languages popular with migrants, like Haitian Creole. Besides language barriers, critics say the app has issues detecting the photos some applicants use.
Problems with people of African descent having difficulty taking the photo. The app is not recognizing the photos of these people.
Officials have not yet commented on how many people are getting appointments, but recent numbers show illegal border crossings last month were up 40% from December of 2021. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Well, this morning our temperature's running way above average, which should be down in the mid-50s. We're still at 70 for Bonita Springs and Naples, and we're on our way to possibly tying a record again today. We got your forecast coming up.
I honestly feel like it would have been the death bell of youth sports in this county.
But nothing was able to stop these local Little Leaguers getting back on the field after Hurricane Ian. We'll have their comeback story in just a bit.
All right, but first, let's get a quick check of your traffic hotspots.
This is the first time I've ever been in an accident. Went to quite a few physicians. You know, these tests, all these tests that they run, they're expensive. I mean, everything was handled by fairer and fairer. It feels great because I'm not getting a whole bunch of bills.
8:46 right now on your Monday morning. Here's a look at some of the top stories we're following today. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Biden will meet on Wednesday to discuss this debt ceiling. The meeting comes 2 weeks after the U.S. hit its debt limit. Many Republicans oppose a debt ceiling increase without spending reductions. The Department of Justice says it is working to provide more information to the Senate Intelligence Committee on the classified documents that were found at the residence of President Biden as well as former President Donald Trump. The DOJ wants to make sure it will not impact ongoing investigations. Senators say disclosure is essential so they can determine what type of sensitive information may have been included in those documents. All right, if you're going to be driving on Cape Coral Parkway this morning, we want to let you know that the westbound right turn lane at Southeast 9th Place to 8th Court, it's going to be closed. The city says it is looking into some type of leak there at the intersection. They didn't say specifically what they think it is. Utility crews have been on the scene for about 45 minutes now. They are expecting to reopen that turn lane sometime tonight. Fort Myers is hosting its third day of the Hurricane Ian Recovery Expo. So lawyers, contractors, insurance representatives are all on hand in one place to help answer any questions that you still might have. So this event is free if you want to go to it. It's at Fort Myers High School inside the gym. It will be open tonight from 6 to 8. So you can have insurance claims reviewed, find out about resources available to you, or even ask questions to contractors like electricians and general contractors and more.
Time is now 8:47. This weekend, it was all about celebrating the pirate lifestyle in Tampa as the Gasparilla Pirate Festival made its long-awaited return.
Auckland.
Yeah, look at Ric Flair showing up there. All right, from balconies to the streets, thousands of people came out to celebrate the invasion. Tampa's original Buccaneers made their way down historic Bayshore Boulevard and into downtown Tampa. More than 100 floats, 5 marching bands, and more than 50 crews took part in the parade. And some familiar faces were there as well. That's LCSO's mountain unit that were there. And there's Carmine Marcino, Sheriff Marcino that's one of the members of NSYNC, by the way. Joey Fatone.
Joey Fatone, I saw that.
Doesn't look the same as he used to. Can't do those dance moves, but that's okay. Old age catches up to all of us. Dozens of other law enforcement agencies also made their way up to Tampa as well.
All right, take a look at this. New Zealand's largest city is dealing with record flooding and dangerous landslides. Auckland area law enforcement says at least 4 people have died in the flood so far. You can see the heavy rain has derailed trains, flooded fields. It's leaving people trapped in waist-deep floodwater. Reportedly, they got 75% of their season's rainfall in just 15 hours, if you can wrap your head around that.
Yeah, that's wild to believe.
That is crazy. All right, let's take a look here in Southwest Florida. We are a 180 from that. Absolutely gorgeous weather. It's going to be a warm one. No rain on our radar, right, Trent? This is what, Naples Bay?
Yeah,
Wait for me, dude.
they left with that, James. This is a nice little shot here down in Collier County. We had a lot of cloud cover when the sun came up early, but boy, over the weekend, guys, the weather was really, really hot there on Sunday afternoon. Let's get you a check of the radar. The only showers we're picking up here are off the East Coast and down over the Florida Keys. You can see that southeasterly breeze kicking up a little bit of activity there along the 7 Mile Bridge and off of mainland Monroe. A few of those showers made it out past US 27. And are getting smaller and smaller as they get close to the county line there between Glades and Palm Beach County. We're dry. Our temperatures have been way above average, though, all morning long. We should be down around 55 this time of year. And you see the reading at Page Field, 69 degrees with low 70s between Naples and Golden Gate. And with the warm temperatures and high humidity, we had some fog develop. And today, we're already running some 4 to 5 degrees ahead of where we were yesterday. And we hit 87, tying a record yesterday. And there's a look at those winds. Dew point values coming up there in the mid to upper 60s. That's pretty high. You felt the humidity come back yesterday. And with it in place over the next couple of days, we're going to start each morning with some patchy fog. Now, the fog should really begin to mix out here in the next 20 to 30 minutes. You can see visibility getting a little better along the Peace River. Still around 1.5 miles to 2 miles between Moorhaven and Clewiston. And while it's a little hazy in some spots along the coast, we're still looking pretty good. Our wind should be light today out of the southeast, keeping us warm. And our forecast for our high temperature today, up around 86. Our sunset time at 6:08. That reading of 86 would tie a record it was set back in 1975. The last time we tied that record was 91. And on the flip side of that, a record low is 35. You got to go way up north to find those kind of readings. But boy, is it cold right now. Denver, Rapid City, and Minneapolis all in the negative digits, with Rapid City at minus 23. All that cold air is going to stay to the north as all the rainfall is going to track along an old frontal boundary in the southeast, kicking up some showers there between Columbus, Macon, and Charleston, South Carolina. But as we look at our weather, it does not change. You see this afternoon that southeasterly flow. We'll keep it in play here for Tuesday. As a matter of fact, it looks similar for Wednesday and Thursday. And the reason, this high pressure ridge is built in. It's going to flatten out the jet stream, keeping all the cold air up north. And eventually we'll get just a little bump in the jet stream. That will happen Friday night and Saturday. That will push a quick weak front through, bringing us a chance of some showers Friday night. And then you see a little more significant one coming up on February the 6th on Monday. A marine forecast sees foot or less and the water smooth. Your water temperature is at 68. So as we look at our highs today, back in the mid to upper 80s for most of us. Overnight tonight, we'll dip right back into the mid 60s. As we look at your 7-day forecast, we're going to keep the temperatures hot all the way through the rest of the work week, where it gets just a little bit cooler over the weekend. And even though that front will pass through, it's still going to be breezy here with temperatures in the upper 70s and near 80 by the time the weekend wraps up.
All right, Trent, so headed on outside, still seeing that light haze from the fog that you and I started tracking when we first started at 6 o'clock this morning. It doesn't look like it's slowing down traffic too much, but this crash could slow you down. It's Toledo Blade Boulevard, so that's the exit right off of I-75 of mile marker 179. So even though they are not blocking the roadway, the fire truck has since cleared, and we still have a couple of deputies and troopers that are on scene. A lot of people are trying to navigate around them. Move over. Remember, it is the law. So even though there is no roadblock, when we start to see clusters of cars move through, it does look a little slow. Right now, though, that live look, it's looking pretty good. So just to give you a better idea as to where this is, again, Charlotte County, Toledo Blade Boulevard, right off of I-75. Headed down to Lee County, I do have a new crash for you, US 41 and 6 Mile Cypress. US 41 really taking the brunt of all of the delays right here. So this is going to be northbound 41 is in the orange. Southbound lanes also looking a little slow. So if you're headed that way, there is no roadblock. It's passable. It's just a slow go. Bonita Beach Road and US 41, that intersection also dealing with delays because of a crash. US 41 northbound in the yellow right there looking a little slow, and it looks like we're starting to see that bumper-to-bumper traffic westbound along Bonita Beach Road. And we are still not rid of this crash here along Immokalee Road, where we had a roadblock westbound. This is at the intersection of Laurel Lakes Drive. I can say this is a lot better than what we've seen over the course of the past several hours. Westbound lanes had about 5 miles of backups. It looks like the westbound lanes are back in the green, so that shows us some improvement. But as you approach I-75, we still have congestion there. So it is still slow. It's just improving. That's your morning traffic.
And the countdown is on. You are looking live in Glendale, Arizona, home to this year's Super Bowl. We know the teams that are in place. We're going to take you to Kansas City and Philadelphia, where fans were celebrating late into the night.
8:57 right now on your Monday morning. Look at this beautiful look. This is the camera that sits at the Luminary Hotel in downtown Fort Myers looking at the Caloosahatchee. And it really is a gorgeous day. It's going to be a warm one out there, so prepare for that. Make sure to hydrate. Meteorologist Trent Eric's going to have a full check of your forecast coming up on Fox 4 Morning News at 9. All right, it is official. The Philadelphia Eagles will be playing the Kansas City Chiefs in Arizona for Super Bowl 57. Last night, the Chiefs scored the game-winning field goal, beating the Cincinnati Bengals by 3 points. Meanwhile, the Eagles won the NFC Championship in a landslide yesterday against the San Francisco 49ers. It was 31-7.
And those are Philly fans excited, thousands of them hitting the streets of Philadelphia. Looks like they were mostly behaved. I did read that the police actually greased the poles, Amy. So that way people weren't, they weren't climbing onto light poles. It seems like it worked. I don't see people doing it. Everyone was having a good time behaving. Meanwhile, we head next to Kansas City, where fans were there. Power and Light District. Oh, it was rocking there as the Chiefs are going to their third Super Bowl in the last 4 years, I think, 5 years. Something like that. Big crowd there. Of course, the Super Bowl is 13 days from now, February 12th. And, of course, you're going to watch it right here on Fox 4. Game starts at 6:30 that day.
Here's the thing. Kudos to anyone who can climb the pole, even when it's not greased, because I could not do that.
I know. It is impressive when you see how they do it. It's like, how did you even get up there?
Right? I know. I can't even do a pull-up, but whatever. That's another story.
All right. Well, speaking of athletic events, local Little Leaguers are excited to get back on the field after Hurricane Ian canceled the fall season.
Fox 4's Yvette Sanchez is showing us how a major obstacle was cleared this weekend to let baseball practice start for the first time since the storm.
I think it's pretty amazing how quickly that Howard was able to get them out here.
Stacy Barrientos and her son were finally ready to play spring ball.
Oh, he was extremely disappointed at first because he was really looking forward to being in this organization this year.
Barrientos and her son's reaction after Lee County shut down athletic fields after stadium-style lights collapsed at Estero Park.
We love baseball and we try to do all year round, so we were all actually really disappointed.
After no fall ball because of Hurricane Ian and the possibility of no spring ball.
All right, runners, when you're ready, lines out here.
President of the South Fort Myers Youth Baseball League, Howard Gold, jumped into action.
Just got on the phone and made a few calls because I honestly feel like it would have been the death bell of youth sports in this county.
To hear that we were able to start practice so quickly and right away, not even skip a beat, was pretty amazing. We were all really excited.
Barrientos, Gold, and the kids are ready to get the season started, hoping the county fixes the lights quickly
so that we can have normal practices during the week and be able to have as many practices and games as we need to this season without having the light be an issue.
That way, they could add more championship banners to the collection of over 100 already with the Little League organization. In Fort Myers, Yvette Sanchez, Fox 4.
And coming up in our next hour, a tribute to a fallen officer.
Yeah, we're going to take you live to Charlotte County, where deputies are paying respects for Deputy Chris Taylor. They've got a special ceremony, and we're going to be there on Fox 4 Morning News at 9.
Emergency restoration starting on the Sanibel Causeway this morning. Coming up, I'll tell you about the plans FDOT has for repairs.
If you are still working to recover after Hurricane Ian, we're going to tell you where you can go tonight to get some answers and some help in person.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 Morning News.
And welcome into Fox 4 Morning News, everybody, on this Monday morning. I'm Ryan Kruger.
I'm Amy Wegman. We want to get you a check of your weather if you haven't been outside yet with certified meteorologist Trent Eric, and it's going to be a warm one
yes,
today.
Yes, it is. Seems like a whole week is going to be warm, Trent.
Yeah, and I think we could say hot.
Okay, fair enough.
Fine.
Yeah.
We tied a record yesterday. We hit 87. We've got 86 on the way forward today, and those numbers are up there for this late in January or early in the year. Right now, the radar showing just a few showers off the East Coast and a few more on that southeasterly breeze. That breeze brought with us some moisture and some warmth, and kicked off a little fog around town, but no rain on the radar. As far as our temperatures, we're anywhere from 67 in Moorhaven to 76 already in Naples. Our average high is 75 degrees. We're only at 9:04. We're going to climb quickly today, and we're going to settle in around 86 this afternoon. That would tie a record. You can see the winds are pretty calm. Visibility has improved tremendously here with the new observations coming in at 9 o'clock, 5 miles along the lake where it was down less than a half a mile earlier this morning. As we look at the forecast, though, it's quite a bit of sunshine today. We're going to be dry, so as you head out hour by hour, you will not need the jacket today. We are going to be warm. Temperatures up there in the mid to upper 80s. We'll talk about how long this warm stretch of weather is going to last coming up in just a bit.
All right, Trent, really looks like the fog has really lifted. A big improvement, I-75 and Toledo Blade Boulevard. This is also an area we are tracking a crash. Things looking a lot better compared to when we had the fire trucks, multiple deputies and officers, along with the vehicles involved in the crash. Now it looks like we just have about 2 deputies and the road ranger right there on Toledo Blade Boulevard. I want to switch over to maps and give you a better idea as to where all of this is happening. Over in Charlotte County, again, Toledo Blade Boulevard, right off of I-75, that exit is going to be mile marker 179. Not seeing any residual delays up and down the interstate. Headed down to Bonita Springs, also dealing with the crash at US 41 and Bonita Beach Road. Very busy intersection this time of the morning. Bonita Beach Road westbound and US 41 southbound picking up the brunt of those delays. No roadblock associated with that crash. Still hanging on to this crash on Mockley Road westbound Laurel Lakes Boulevard. This has been going on for well over 2 hours now. Westbound lanes are back in the green, so we're seeing big improvement after seeing 6 miles of backups at times there. And down along Alligator Alley, we do have a new crash for you with a partial roadblock, I-75 southbound. This is near Everglades Boulevard. Doesn't look like it's slowing down traffic along the alley too much. Ryan.
All right, thank you, Lauren. Time is now 9:06. We're going to keep talking about traffic because it may be going a little bit slower through the Sanibel Causeway. It's because FDOT today is starting emergency restoration. Let's send things out to Fox 4's Alexandra Rangel right by the toll booth there. And Alexandra, you've been out there all morning. I know at 6 o'clock, traffic was pretty slow. What's it looking like now?
Yeah, Ryan, we actually have a little bit more traffic than the last hour. You can check over the Sanibel Causeway. You can see cars heading over. We've had a lot of construction workers, a lot of work crews heading over the causeway. This is to allow crews to move equipment needed for work. FDOT says you need to be ready to slow down and even temporarily stop. According to FDOT, crews will be driving sheet pile around the causeway islands to help with restoration. The causeway islands surrounding the temporary roadway are now active work zones and are closed to the public as construction continues. Now, FDOT is also asking cyclists to find another way to cross the causeway. You're also not allowed to walk across the causeway. This is all for safety purposes as heavy machinery is around the area. Now, because of the repairs, westbound McGregor Boulevard has been reduced to 1 lane through the toll plaza, so keep that in mind. FDOT is also wants to remind drivers to stick to the 20 miles per hour speed limit, especially as crews continued repairs on the causeway. This morning, we're here monitoring the progress and we'll keep you update. For now, live from the Sanibel Causeway, Alexandra Rangel, Fox 4.
All right, thanks for the update, Alex. We appreciate that. We'll check back with you in just a little bit. All right, we have a heads up for any of you who may still be working to recover after Hurricane Ian. Maybe you still have some questions about the recovery process. So today you can get those questions answered at Fort Myers High School inside the gym. There will be contractors, electricians, roofers, and so many others to help you with the recovery process. We know it's going to be a long road. Even 4 months later, so many people are still working on this. Fox 4 met with the organizers of tonight's event to find out how these representatives want to help you rebuild.
Lack of knowledge is one of the reasons why you get taken advantage of. And so an event like this is to give you that knowledge, to empower you to be able to know what's covered, what's not covered, to get that work done, and to not find yourself in a position where you don't have enough money to rebuild.
All right, so again, if you want to go and get some answers or just talk to someone, pick their brain, you can go tonight from 6 to 8 inside the gym at Fort Myers High School. This is free and it is open to the public.
In Matlacha, the Civic Association will be meeting today to find out the progress that needs to be made after Hurricane Ian destroyed so much of Matlacha and Pine Island. Fox 4 spoke with local leaders to get their thoughts on how the recovery is going so far.
I'm hoping that this provides some sense of hope for the future, and for the businesses, that they can come back and expect that their audiences, that their clientele are going to come back, that the people whose homes are gone over here will come back and will invest in those homes, because the people who are here now are the people that we treasure.
And the group will be meeting at the Blue Dog Bar and Grill at 6 o'clock this evening. Parking is available at the Matlacha Community Park. Time is now 9:09. St. Matthew's House will be hosting 3 food distribution events in Naples starting today. We've got all the information on your screen right now. Today's event starts in about 50 minutes at the Paradise Coast Sports Complex. The other 2 will be held on Tuesday and Thursday. We have all the addresses and the times right now on your screen. You can also find them on our website, fox4now.com.
All right, if you are looking for something to do, Charlotte County's got you covered. You can still head to the fair. There are several days that it will still be going on. Lots of people have been going to the fairground in Port Charlotte. They went there over the weekend. You can see there's a Ferris wheel, all kinds of fun rides. Also, of course, the fair food. How can you not want that? The chili dogs, the funnel cakes, all that yummy stuff. I'm not a big fan of the deep fried Twinkies, but you know what? To each their own. Yeah. If you want to go, the fair is open all week from 5 to 10.
You have to eat the fair food. You can't go to a fair without eating the food. Agreed. The Great American Population Shift is going to the south. That is according to new data from the U.S. Census Bureau. Now, the Census Bureau says that population growth in southern states outgrew other areas by about 1.3 million people. The Northeast and the Midwest lost most of their residents. 6 of the 10 leading growth states were in the South. That includes, of course, Florida. We've all seen that, but also includes Georgia, North Carolina, and Texas. Meanwhile, states that are seeing significant losses were California, Alaska, Hawaii, New Mexico, Oregon, and Washington State.
Well, right now our temperature is sitting in the upper 60s to low 70s, already to 76 out in Naples. We're going to talk more here about this near record stretch of weather we've got coming up on the other side of the break.
All right, if you own a Kia or a Hyundai and you're in the market to get new car insurance, you're going to want to listen to this story coming up because it could affect you.
And the popular Apple AirPods, a convenient way to listen to music, listen to podcasts. But Apple has a warning out this morning. If you are considering purchasing this particular headphone, coming up, how you can spot a fake Apple AirPod.
All right, but first, let's get a quick check of your traffic hotspots.
This is the first time I've ever been in an accident. Went to quite a few physicians. You know, these tests, all these tests that they run, they're expensive. I mean, everything was handled by fairer and fairer. It feels great because I'm not getting a whole bunch of bills.
Time is now 9:16 on this Monday morning. Taking a look at some top stories happening today and this week. Russian officials say they are refusing to hold peace talks with Ukraine because of the U.S. sending tanks. Russia's deputy foreign minister is accusing the United States of using Ukraine as a testing ground for its weapons. The U.S. has promised to send more than 30 tanks to Ukraine. And today, Secretary of State Antony Blinken will be meeting with Israeli and Palestinian leaders in an effort to de-escalate rising tensions in the region. Blinken's meetings come just a day after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced punitive measures against Palestinians. That move was in response to deadly weekend shootings that killed 7 Israelis. And President Biden is heading to Baltimore today to promote his $1 trillion infrastructure plan. The president plans to visit a commuter tunnel that stands to be replaced with funding from the legislation. A project could receive up to $4.7 billion from the legislation.
All right, if you own a certain Kia or Hyundai model car, you will have fewer options for auto insurance coverage moving forward. So State Farm and Progressive insurance companies say they will no longer issue new policies for Kia and Hyundai models, certain ones in certain cities. And this affects 2015 through 2019 models. Insurance companies say the models are too easy to steal because they lack anti-theft technology that's put into cars today. Again, the companies say these changes only apply to new policies.
If you're looking to buy a new pair of Apple AirPods, you may want to be cautious. There was a warning this morning that fake versions of the device are on the rise. The Wall Street Journal has some tips on how to spot fake AirPods. Now, the earbuds, they're pretty expensive. They retail for about $249, but many third-party sellers are promoting them for much less. According to that Wall Street Journal report, if the price seems too good to be true, there's a good chance they might be fake. Another way to spot a counterfeit is by verifying the serial number. I did not know this, but the real AirPods have a serial number written on the outside of the box as well as the inside charging case.
Right now we're looking live here from the Luminary Hotel, which sits across the Caloosahatchee, and this one is looking pretty good here this morning. We've been watching these clouds kind of break down throughout the day, and what we're going to notice is that a lot more sunshine comes later on, and that's going to help push our temperatures up. Currently, as we look at the radar, there is not a whole lot happening as this southeasterly breeze has kicked up a few showers over the Florida Keys, and that southeasterly breeze is what's really going to warm us up here this afternoon. We did have a couple of showers moving past US 27 in Broward County. So far, they have not made it into Glades County. So we're dry. And bottom line is today is going to be hot. Temperatures up around 86 after we hit 87 yesterday. Right now, Page Field's at 72. Our average high is around 76. That's where we're already at there in Naples. And you can see our 24-hour temperature change running some 5 to 6 degrees warmer in southern Collier County than where we were this time yesterday. As our winds are out of the east, they're pretty light. They'll turn southeast this afternoon. Look at these dew point values. We're near 70 degrees. This feels more like summertime when you step outside. So with the high humidity and fairly light winds, we're going to be dealing with patchy fog each and every morning this week. Right now, visibility looks much better here at 9:19 than it did just a half hour or so ago. Our winds today will be light, 5 to 10 miles per hour, and at forecast today, we'll see those temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. We'll stay warm near sunset, which is a 6:08. That reading of 86 is above our average of 76, and it would tie a record. Set back in 1975, it was tied back in 1991. So if we hit 87, we'll have a new record, and it'll be the second straight day of 87. So where's the cold air? Well, it's up north and across the Central Plains. Rapid City at -19 right now, Minneapolis -6, while the eastern half of the U.S. fairly mild as we watch an old frontal boundary right now between Atlanta and Raleigh. And you can see the showers there moving from west to east. That'll continue to stay to the north here in the days ahead. Matter of fact, you look at the computer model, southeast breeze to keep things quiet. Computer model trying to indicate a couple of showers. I think it's overdoing it. It's just trying to show that moisture building back in. So all the way through midweek, no significant changes at all. We won't see a cold front or a change here until Friday night into Saturday. Here's the reason why. Jet stream gets very flat as this ridge of high pressure blocks all the cold air and keeps it up north. We see just a little bump in the jet stream there. That's going to be a weak cold front that comes through Friday night into Saturday. That's when we have the best chance to pick up a little bit of rain and then some slightly cooler cooler air behind it. A little more significant dip coming up there on Monday the 6th. So if you're heading out on the water today, seas look pretty good. 1 foot or less, inland water is smooth. Let's get you over to the 7-day forecast. Temperature is going to stay here way above average all the way through the work week. And then over the weekend will be slightly cooler and breezy. Saturday and Sunday, upper 70s, still above normal, but a little better than where we are the last couple of days.
All right, Trent, so let's head on out to I-75. This is near mile marker 140, so between MLK Jr. Boulevard and also Bayshore Road. Looks like we do have a trooper off to the side of the road with this semi-truck, but it's not slowing down traffic here. It's not the same story for all of I-75 in Lee County. We just had a crash pop up. This is going to be I-75 southbound. This is before MLK Jr. Boulevard, so if you are headed southbound closer to mile marker 130, you could see maybe a couple of cars off to the side of the road, but my sensor is not picking up any major delays. And Florida Highway Patrol did say that there is no roadblock associated with that crash. Still dealing with this crash here, Toledo Blade Boulevard as you're approaching I-75. Toledo Blade is mile marker 179. Not seeing too many delays along Toledo Blade or even residual delays along I-75. Most of the crashes we were dealing with, Bonita Springs and Immokalee Road, those have since cleared up, but we have a new one that just popped up along Alligator Alley. This one is going to be I-75 southbound near Everglades Boulevard. There is a partial roadblock, but right now the alley is lighting up green. So if you are headed that way, I do think you're good to go. That's your morning traffic.
All right, coming up after the break, artificial intelligence is helping preserve the memories of Holocaust survivors. How technology is helping tell their stories.
.25 right now. The horrific events during the Holocaust led to the murder of around 6 million Jewish people.
And now one project is helping make sure that history is documented, of course, so it can never be repeated.
Jackie Ibanez is taking a look at how artificial intelligence is helping create images from the stories of Holocaust survivors.
Artificial intelligence is preserving the memories of Holocaust survivors through specially generated pictures.
I feel that I'm sitting with brave people.
In Israel, more than a dozen Holocaust survivors sat down with Saul Leffler to tell their stories. Leffler listened as each person reflected on the horror and pain they endured, entering key moments from each memory into an AI program called Midjourney.
I want you to remember the moment when it saves your life.
Using the information it was given, the software created a series of images depicting the stories of each survivor.
I felt shivers. I couldn't grasp that it was me. It was hard for me to process this picture, going 80 years back and seeing the state I was in then and the state I'm in today.
Those pictures were recently displayed during an exhibit in southern Israel.
It's very moving to see these stories presented via AI. These are Holocaust stories that we have heard, and seeing them now so vividly is bringing up very strong emotions.
Even though the memories are extremely hard to relive, survivors say it's critical to document history because forgetting it poses many dangers.
Some people do not want to remember about that, and I think it's very important to remind them and to show them that anything can repeat in our life.
The project was spearheaded by an Israeli organization supporting Holocaust survivors. The images will be sold to help raise funds for survivors in need. Jackie Abanez, Fox News.
Well, protests continue across the country in honor of Tyree Nichols. We're going to tell you how local, state, and communities across the country are fighting for justice in his name. It's coming up on Fox 4 Morning News.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 Morning News.
Right now, 9:30, you're looking over the Naples Bay and you see a lot of boats out there already this morning. The conditions should be pretty good out there. Seas foot or less, and inland water is smooth today as our winds are going to be pretty light. 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the southeast, and if you're out on the Gulf water, they'll slightly turn west later on before sunset. And as we look at our radar, it's pretty quiet. A couple of showers over the 7 Mile Bridge in Big Pine, and that's a southeasterly breeze. It's really brought up the humidity and our temperatures. Right now, we're sitting in the low to mid 70s. We've got 76 Naples, upper 60s there from Port Charlotte through Arcadia, and you can see the light winds east southeast later on. Visibility is much improved compared to where we were early this morning. Moorhaven, Clewiston, you were down less than a half a mile at one point, and now we're looking good. Perfect 10s there on the western side of the lake. Now we get to focus on the sunshine and our hot temperatures. A few fair weather clouds this afternoon, but otherwise going to be another hot one. You can see the hour-by-hour forecast. We'll be at 83 degrees by noon. 86 degrees is what we're forecasting for a high today. If we hit that mark, that would tie a record set back in 75 and last hit and tied back in 1991.
All right, Trent, headed on outside. I do see the sunshine that you're forecasting for today and also clear roadways. We do have a trooper that is pulled off to the side of the road with this semi-truck, but it's not causing any delays northbound or southbound along the interstate. It's a bit of a different story the further south you move, as we do have a crash that is closer to MLK Jr. Boulevard. It's impacting the southbound lanes, but my sensors not picking up any major delays, and FHP does say that the crash is off to the side of the road, so very much passable, and it shouldn't slow you down at all. Still dealing with this crash right here, Toledo Blade Boulevard, right off of I-75. That's going to be mile marker 179. I'm not picking up any delays there, and no roadblock associated with that crash. Headed on over to Alligator Alley, we do have a crash with a partial roadblock. This is I-75 southbound, right at Everglades Boulevard, and even with that roadblock, my sensors are lighting up green right there. Amy.
Thanks, Lauren. Well, anti-Semitic messages have turned up again in a neighborhood on the east coast of Florida. This time, it was a West Palm Beach neighborhood. Danielle Seat from our Scripps station, WPTV in West Palm, takes us to Northwood, where people say they woke up to find flyers in their yards.
The anti-Semitic flyers were thrown out here in Northwood between 36th Street and 46th Street. Now, residents that I talked to say that they're shocked these people would come into their neighborhood, but also that it seems to be becoming part of a trend.
This is not okay. It's not good language. It's not kind. It's not healthy to our community.
First, we reported it happening in Boca Raton, and then West Palm Beach and Atlantis. Now, this weekend, Palm Beach and West Palm Beach.
It is trending and it's starting to become more frequent.
West Palm Beach police sent us this video from a Ring doorbell in the Northwood community. The recording was taken yesterday. They tell us that these people here in a U-Haul truck were the ones that were throwing out the anti-Semitic propaganda.
It's very, very sad, especially because we do have a large Jewish population.
Public Information Officer Mike Jackals says that no arrests have been made, but an investigation is now underway.
Unfortunately, the First Amendment does not discriminate against hate mongers, so they are entitled to their expression of their views, whether we agree or not. This is a welcoming and diverse city. We don't want it in our town.
West Palm Beach police picked up about 150 of these flyers from outside of people's homes, making them one of, if not the only agency to take the time to do so here in the last couple of weeks. I asked them why.
Well, you know what? Our officers were out there. We wanted to make sure that there was nothing harmful there. And you know what? It was just the right thing to do.
Jackal says that if you do find these flyers outside of your home, call their non-emergency line and do not confront the group.
If anybody sees this, the best thing to do is not confront these people. They are looking for a confrontation. They are live streaming this. They're looking to engage. So the best thing to do is not engage. Do not confront them.
And this morning, a community in New Jersey is on high alert after a Molotov cocktail was thrown at a local synagogue. Police say surveillance video from the scene shows the suspect, you see him right there, approaching the temple's door and then lighting that Molotov cocktail and throwing it. The glass bottle containing the cocktail broke. It did not damage the building. So far, nobody has been arrested. Time is now 9:35, and this morning there is a makeshift memorial in Memphis for Tyree Nichols. He's the 29-year-old man who died at the hands of being beaten by Memphis police officers.
Community members are spending time paying their respects in his honor as funeral plans are now in place. Scripps News national correspondent Stephanie Sandoval has more.
We spent the morning talking to visitors at a makeshift memorial. Residents are furious with Memphis police, but most aren't surprised.
I will trust in the Lord. I will trust in the Lord until I die.
At the corner of Castlegate and Bear Creek, mothers add their tokens of love and grief to the spot where Tyre Nichols was beaten to death, knowing all too well that could have been one of their own children.
When I heard him yelling for his mom, it broke me down.
It was just hurtful. Just knowing what happened, even before seeing the video, had me in tears.
The corner where police repeatedly kicked Nichols in the face and beat him with batons and bare fists is surrounded by over a dozen homes. It's also directly across from a Skycop camera, which captured the entire incident from a bird's eye view.
You didn't think enough to even say, hey, we being recorded? They just didn't care.
Hurt and fury were the dominant emotions among the crowd. Praylin Dixon was shocked by how close Nichols was to home.
This could have been your child, right here. I mean, houses right here. Nobody came outside to help this little man, you know.
Alex Garcia remodeled one of the homes in the cul-de-sac 2 years ago. He brought his young son, Jonathan, to pay their respects. Garcia says it would have been easy for neighbors to hear what was happening that night.
If something happened like that, I mean, I see somebody else be like that, I call it.
Nita Smith, however, believes it's likely nobody wanted to get involved.
I mean, they're gonna call the police on the police. The police is sitting out here. They are the ones that's doing harm.
We knocked on several doors in the neighborhood, but no one wanted to talk on camera. Residents we spoke with said they didn't hear anything the night Nichols was killed. One neighbor, a retired police officer of 40 years, said the Memphis Police Department has gone downhill as younger people join the force and forget their number-one duty.
Protect and serve.
She told us it was a traffic stop gone wrong.
It was totally unnecessary. And it was just, I couldn't believe that they were doing that man like that.
Dolores Burrow is one of many at the memorial who agree the Memphis Police Department needs serious reform.
I think police officers should go through a psychological evaluation to know how to deal with humans.
And they, like many others, want to see justice for Nichols, so nothing like this happens ever again.
Everybody can love each other. The world would be better.
Nichols' funeral is scheduled for Wednesday at Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church here in Memphis. Back to you.
Well, in Fort Myers, a group will be hosting a candlelight vigil to honor the life of Tyre Nichols. That will happen the day of his funeral on Wednesday. It will be at the downtown Fort Myers Library Green Space. So people will start gathering there about 5:30, but the event itself will take place from 6 to 7.
Time is now 9:39. The man who disarmed a gunman at a dance studio in Southern California was honored on Sunday. City leaders honored Brandon Tsai at a Lunar New Year celebration. It was just a week earlier that Tsai fought with and disarmed a gunman at a dance studio. It happened shortly after that gunman, police say, killed 11 people, injured 9 others at another dance studio in nearby Monterey Park.
The start of the new year has been extremely difficult, but we have the rest of the year to spread compassion and build back our community. I want everyone to take the time to grieve, to mourn, to recover. But after, I want us, the people of this nation, to take action.
It was also announced that Tsai will be President Biden's guest at this year's State of the Union address.
Well, right now, the radar is pretty quiet, minus a few showers down to our south. Will we see more rainfall in the 7-day forecast? Well, we got to look at that and some near-record heat coming up in just a minute.
It's not too often you see a plane on the side of the road. We're going to tell you how the pilot of this small plane saved 4 people's lives.
All right, but first, let's get a quick check of your traffic hotspots.
This is the first time I've ever been in an accident went to quite a few physicians. You know, these tests, all these tests that they run, they're expensive. I mean, everything was handled by fairer and fairer. It feels great because I'm not getting a whole bunch of bills.
At 9:43, here's a look at some of the top stories we're following today. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Biden will be meeting Wednesday to talk about the debt ceiling. The meeting comes nearly 2 weeks after the U.S. hit its debt limit. Many Republicans oppose a debt ceiling increase without some spending reductions. The Department of Justice says it is working to provide more information to the Senate Intelligence Committee on classified documents that were found at the home of President Biden and former President Donald Trump. The DOJ wants to make sure it will not impact ongoing investigations. Senators say disclosure is essential so they can determine what type of sensitive information may have been included in those documents. All right, if you're going to be out on Cape Coral Parkway this morning, we do want to give you a heads up. The westbound right turn lane is closed right now from Southeast 9th Place to 8th Court. So the city says they are looking at some type of leak at that intersection. They didn't specify what may have leaked, though. Utility crews are out there. They've been there for almost 2 hours now. They do expect to reopen that turn lane sometime tonight. Well, Fort Myers is hosting its third day of Hurricane Ian Recovery Expo. So you can go talk to lawyers, contractors, insurance representatives, and they will all be there to answer your questions. This event is free. It's being held tonight at the Fort Myers High School gym. You can go there anytime between 6 and 8 p.m. If you go, make sure that you bring, your current information, any documents might have. They can review insurance claims for you. You can even just pick the brain of contractors, electricians, or more service industries.
A wild story out of Miami. A pilot of a small plane forced to make an emergency landing on the road. This happened on Saturday. Go ahead and take a look at this. There it is right there. Unbelievable. 4 people were on board that single-engine plane. It landed on the Rickenbacker Causeway. Police responded to the scene. They quickly closed the road to traffic. Police have not yet said what caused the plane to make that emergency landing in the first place.
All right, caught on camera, statue of an ape. And now a $10,000 reward.
All right, Patrick Cornell shows us why the thief hauled away this morning. Take a look at this.
Police in Maryland releasing video of the hefty heist, showing someone stealing a gorilla statue from an antique store, heaving that heavy primate into the back of a truck and fleeing with the figure. No small task, mind you, the statue weighing 200 pounds. Authorities now offering $10,000 for information on the theft. Next, a freaky find that just might make you say, eek!
But man, look at this thing.
The 4-foot American eel washed up on a beach in Texas. Researchers say these mostly freshwater fish swim deep into the ocean to spawn their nearly 4 million eggs before dying.
This is like basically as big as they get.
The record for the longest American eel ever caught in Texas is 3.5 feet. So just a little something to think about the next time you go swimming. Speaking of America, check out this marvelous mustachioed man, an award-winning stash. In fact, Bob Baker is a 2-time national champion for his incredible homegrown creation.
When they said, winner Robert Baker, I almost fell out of my chair.
A sight so stunning, it's got a lot of fans. 1.3 million of them on TikTok, to be exact. Yoo-hoo! Baker and his beastly beauty plan to take on a competition in Germany. For Take a Look at This, I'm Patrick Cornell.
I think Trent and I are going to grow mustaches just like that.
Yeah, right?
Tune in next week. You'll see it. All right, take a look at this. This is in New Zealand. Devastating footage that is out of there. These are landslips is what they call them there. A mudslide is how you would refer to it here. See homes that were damaged, cars that were damaged, heavy rain that is causing those landslips. Essentially, again, the same thing as a landslide. The city of Auckland still in a warning of having more of these the next couple of days. We were saying earlier in the newscast, they had almost 75% of their rain came in about 15 hours.
Right.
That is insane.
That's like a monsoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost as crazy as you thinking you're going to get that big of a mustache in a week.
Yeah. Oh, I'm kind of a champion here, Trent. All right. It'll just wait.
I'm going to need a little longer on that one. For us, we got just a couple of showers around town here early, and they've been out over the Gulf of Mexico and off the East Coast. You see a few of those off of Palm Beach County and in the Florida Keys, right there near the 7 Mile Bridge in Big Pine. So as we look over towards the East Coast, you see a couple of those dying out near US 27 as the radar beams go across your screen. We're not picking up a drop of rain anywhere in Southwest Florida, but boy, our temperatures are climbing. 76 already in Naples and Golden Gate, 72 Fort Myers, upper 60s there from Punta Gorda all the way through Arcadia. And you can see that 24-hour temperature change, about a 5 to 6 degree jump from where we were at this time yesterday. The winds are pretty calm. They'll be out of the southeast 5 to 10, and we're going to see our temperatures go up, even though our winds won't go up that much. Already our dew point values are near 70. These are very summer-like patterns or something you see right before a cold front this time of year, but we're going to be set up in this pattern for days. Our visibility is much improved compared to where we were earlier this morning. 9s and 10s across the board until you get up along the Peace River, and still a little haze, keeping the visibility between 6 and 7. Our wind 5 to 10 miles per hour here throughout the day, and what we're going to see is our wind gusts pretty much non-existent here. Sunny and warm, 86. Your sunset time coming up at 6:08. That reading of 86, once we hit it, will tie a record. Last hit back in 1991, but originally established there in 75. Record low on the flip side of that, just kind of giving you the spread we could see, 35 degrees back in 1966. All the really cold air is locked up to the north. Minus 19 actual air temperature right now in Rapid City, below freezing for Chicago, St. Louis. And then you get out along this frontal boundary, and it's rather warm, and we've got a lot of moisture in place, but notice the direction of the rain, due west to east, and that's because we're not going to see any type of push to the south as a ridge of high pressure is hanging on strong for us. Southeasterly breeze, quiet. Computer model trying to show a couple of showers, but I think it's just showing you the moisture that's increasing. We're going to stay dry Tuesday, Wednesday, and we're going to stay warm. The reason is that ridge to our south. You'll notice the jet stream getting really flat, keeping all the cold air off to the north. But once we get towards Friday night, we get a little dip in the jet stream. That'll bring a very weak front through, possibly bringing us a chance of rain overnight Friday into Saturday, and then a little more substantial dip in the jet stream by Monday. As far as your Inman Marine forecast, sees foot or less, and the water smooth. Your water temperature is 68. Today, going to be a warm one, possibly tying a record for the second straight day. Then overnight tonight, we'll go into the mid to upper 60s. Let's get you a look at the 7-day forecast. Well, we're going to stay pretty much the same here. Wednesday, Thursday with a slight change on Friday. That rain arrives late, then breezy and slightly cool over the weekend with temperatures in the upper 70s for Saturday and Sunday.
All right, Trent, headed on outside. I see the clear skies that you're forecasting for today, and it hasn't really been helping with the morning commute. We have a couple of new crashes to get to. This is near mile marker 134. That's not too far from Colonial Boulevard. A couple of cars pull off to the side of the road. I have a feeling they're broken down because I have no reported crashes in this area. Slide south just a little bit. I do have a crash, though. It's Daniels Parkway right off of the interstate. Daniels Parkway was seeing some delays westbound. Already starting to see more green return to the board, though, so that is a good sign that things are clearing up. No roadblock associated with that crash. The crash that we were dealing with in Charlotte County at Toledo Blade Boulevard has since cleared up. Not seeing any delays there anymore. Headed on down to Alligator Alley. We also had a crash here right at Everglades Boulevard. That has also since cleared up. So it looks like if you are headed I-75 southbound along Alligator Alley, you're good to go. That's your morning traffic.
A traditional winter festival becoming harder and harder because of rising temperatures. How ice sculptors are working to continue this tradition. A warmer than normal January sidelined many winter activities, including some iconic ice castles.
Yeah, these things are pretty cool if you've never seen them in person, but crews in Wisconsin are working hard to build the glowing castles for the end of this week. Colton Molsky drove down to check in on the lakeside ice architecture.
A tremendous rise and fall of the castle, literally.
The ice castles in Lake Geneva were scheduled to open on the final weekend of January, now racing to adjust, opening on the first Saturday in February.
Yeah, it's a bummer when it melts out and we see all of our progress go away, but it always motivates us every year we look at it as a challenge.
Warm weather melted down most of the work building manager Alberto Huerta and his team accomplished. He says it's all part of the game when forced to rely on the weather to play nice.
We shot up really quick. We were 20 feet tall in 5 days. So usually we melt out to stakes and grass. This year was a little different. We had ice, but just different challenges with thinner bases and stuff like that we had to compete with this year.
The crew has not let adversity wear down their collective spirit.
Just seeing this castle just coming to life, it just having that determination, especially the morale gets kind of low at points when you see the ice castle get so big and then it drops down, and it's just that drive to we're gonna get this thing done.
Assistant manager Colleen Anderson says the team is working at a historic pace.
This year it's projected to be I think 15 or 16 days, which will be the fastest in the company history of building any ice castle this year.
And coming up on Fox 4 Morning News at 10, a tribute to a fallen sheriff's deputy.
Yeah, we're going to take you live to Charlotte County, where deputies are paying their respects for Chris Taylor, a 23-year-old officer who lost his life. We'll take you to that special ceremony coming up.
emergency restoration starting on the Sanibel Causeway. Coming up, I'll tell you about the plans FDOT has for repairs.
And waking up without water, a water main shutdown to start the work week.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 Morning News.
And good morning. Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 4 Morning News at 10 today. I'm Amy Wegman.
And I'm Ryan Kruger. We are monitoring a few things this morning. In just a few minutes, Governor DeSantis will be speaking in Polk County. We're going to keep an eye on that, update that as soon as we get more information. We also got several big stories to get to today as well.
We do. So first, we want to get to a check of your weather with certified meteorologist Trent Eric. It's going to be a hot one outside today. A bit of a change from what we've had over the past week.
Yeah, you know, we've been warm at times in the new year, and then we had a nice cool down. Well, now we cranked the thermostat up. 87 yesterday. We're forecast to go to 86 this afternoon. Usually when we get a southeasterly breeze and it's this warm, we see a few showers, and indeed off the East Coast and down in the Florida Keys. They're pretty light at best around the 7 Mile Bridge, and we're dry here across town. Right now, it looks like one small shower right there along US 27 by Clewiston, but our temperatures already in the 80s for Immokalee, Golden Gate, Ochapee. 77 in Fort Myers is one above our average already here at 10 o'clock, and we're almost 80 in Naples. And that reason is that southeasterly breeze is starting to pick up just a bit between 5 and 10, and all the fog is now mixed out. As we look at the forecast for today, all sunshine, a few fair weather clouds this afternoon, and we keep almost an identical forecast in play for tomorrow. So as you head out, no jacket. It's a shorts and flip-flops kind of day, my favorite. And you can see those temperatures sitting there in the mid-80s all afternoon. We'll talk about how close we're going to be to record levels in the days ahead coming up in just a bit.
All right, Trent, I do have to tell you, I think the weather is starting to help with the morning commute. Plus, it's just that time of the morning where we start to see things slow down. Here's I-75 near mile marker 134, not too far from the Daniels Parkway exit. Things are moving just fine northbound and southbound. A lot of the crashes we were dealing with have since cleared up. We do have one holding on just off of I-75 at Daniels. Daniels Parkway at time westbound was looking a little slow. That's starting to clear up. If you're headed that way, there is no roadblock. You are good to go. And the Northport area headed into Sarasota County, we do have a crash with a partial roadblock here. This is off the major highways, so it's more in a residential area. So if you live here, this will delay you. This is going to be at Center Road eastbound and Jacaranda Boulevard. It's the left lane that's blocked off. That's your morning traffic.
All right, thank you. Time is now 10:02, and this morning, speaking of traffic, maybe going a little bit slower near the Sanibel Causeway because FDOT is starting emergency repairs today.
Our reporter, Alex Runhell, is live there this morning near the causeway, keeping an eye on it for you and letting you know what this means for your commute. Good morning, Alex.
Traffic across the causeway has already been an ongoing complaint, especially for residents on the island behind me. You can see some of the cars driving over the causeway, and traffic could get worse as repairs continue. FDOT says you need to be ready to slow down and even temporarily stop. This is to allow crews to move equipment needed for work. According to FDOT, crews will be driving sheet pile around the causeway islands to help with restoration. The causeway islands surrounding the temporary roadway are now active work zones and are closed to the public. As construction continues, FDOT is also asking cyclists and pedestrians to find another way to cross the causeway. This is all for safety purposes as heavy machinery is around the area. We spoke to one cyclist who says he misses biking across the causeway.
No pedestrians or bicyclists allowed because of the construction. So this is as far as I go now. Can't wait till it's done and I can get to the top and look out.
FDOT also wants to remind drivers to stick to the 20 miles per hour speed limit, especially as work crews are in the area. Reporting in Sanibel, Alexandra Rangel, Fox 4.
All right, thank you, Alex. We're going to keep talking about traffic. If your commute takes you on Cape Coral Parkway, here's what you need to know. We have got the picture up for you right now. The westbound right turning lane is going to be closed from Southeast 9th Place to 8th Court. The city is investigating some type of a leak at that intersection. We have not told specifically what it is that they are looking for. Utility crews will be out there. They started about 2 hours ago. They expect to reopen that lane later on this evening.
All right, if you live in Cape Coral, portions of the Cape are going to be without water because of a water main shutdown today. So this is the area of Everest Parkway. It's just southeast of Veterans, the bridge right there in Del Prado. City crews are replacing a valve, some pipes, and a fire hydrant. The work should be finished by this afternoon if your water is already off. But once it is is turned back on, you do definitely want to boil it. You want a rolling boil for 1 minute until that boil water notice is lifted. This morning, we are learning more about a wrong-way crash. It killed 4 people in Glades County. Florida Highway Patrol says yesterday an SUV was going the wrong way on US 27 when it crashed into another vehicle. Troopers say the driver of the wrong-way SUV is in the hospital with serious injuries, but sadly, the driver and the other people inside the other SUV, they died at the scene. That includes a pregnant woman and her unborn child. FHP says they are still working to identify the victims because the car caught fire. We, of course, will continue to follow this developing story. We'll bring you the latest when we've got more information.
Time is now 10:05. If you are still trying to rebuild, there's an informational you may want to know about. This in Fort Myers, where they are hosting the 3rd day of the Hurricane Ian Recovery Expo. Lawyers, contractors, and representatives from insurance companies are all going to be on hand to answer some of the questions you may still have.
Lack of knowledge is one of the reasons why you get taken advantage of. And so an event like this is to give you that knowledge, to empower you to be able to know what's covered, what's not covered, to get that work done, and to not find yourself in a position where you don't have enough money to rebuild.
And that informational is being held tonight at the Fort Myers High School Gymnasium from 6 to 8 o'clock. You can have your insurance claims reviewed. You can find out about resources that are available for things like contracting, electricians, along with many other services. And we're also keeping an eye on Matlacha. Today, we spoke with the Matlacha Civics Association as they are continuing to rebuild Pine Island. Today, the group will be holding a second meeting to hear from the community to push forward on the rebuilding process. They say they already have direction on their next project.
I'm hoping that this provides some sense of hope for the future and for the businesses, that they can come back and expect that their audiences, that their clientele are going to come back, that the people whose homes are gone over here will come back and will invest in those homes, because the people who are here now are the people that we treasure.
And that meeting starts at 6 o'clock this evening at the Blue Dog Bar and Grill.
Well, neighbors are honoring those who have worked tirelessly since Hurricane Ian devastated Southwest Florida. Fox 4's Brianna Brownlee is taking us to downtown Fort Myers, where hundreds of people came together to honor our first responders.
Gary Sinise Foundation stands on years of commitment.
A day to honor.
I said, we have you, we'll support you. That's what we're here for.
The first responders of Southwest Florida.
There's always a few, they step over the line, then everyone takes the brunt of it, but not today. Today's a different day. Today we're telling our first responders, including our police officers, how much we appreciate them.
The Gary Sinise Foundation was founded right after 9/11, and Sunday, the nonprofit hosted its second First Responders Appreciation Day, right in the heart of downtown Fort Myers. The event was to recognize the Southwest Florida heroes after Hurricane Ian.
We have all been working overtime. We have all been through quite a bit, and for us to be able to come out here, bring our families out here, bring the public out here, and just really enjoy a day off.
When speaking with Sanibel Fire Chief Kevin Barbot, he was telling me how the Gary Sinise Foundation reached out to him to lend a helping hand right after the storm.
We had some equipment that had been washed away and had been flooded, one of which was a cardiac monitor.
And that equipment had a $42,000 price tag.
They called me back in 5 minutes and said, we're going to purchase it for you.
Mother of 12, Dawn Collar, was at the event with her children.
I have one, Chloe, here. She would like to be a first responder. She would like to be a police officer.
She says she brought them to meet and interact with the first responders so they can be exposed to the people who keep the community safe.
So they can see that they're just human beings. They're just human beings that are taking the extra step to make this world a better place.
In downtown Fort Myers, Brianna Brownlee, Fox 4.
And we appreciate them so much. Well, 10:09 right now. St. Matthew's House will be hosting 3 food distributions in Naples starting today. So if you need food, you need help, you can go starting at, well, right now they've been open for about 10 minutes at the Paradise Coast Sports Complex. The other 2 will be held tomorrow and Thursday. You can also find these locations and their addresses on our website. So don't worry if you don't have a pencil and paper right now. Just go to fox4now.com. We also want to give you a look at some behind the scenes action that you don't get to see every day. These are volunteers from the Star Ability Foundation. They took part in prepping and bagging for food for St. Matthew's House in their warehouse, and all this food is going to go to Southwest Florida families in need. Deputies in Polk County are hailing a mother and daughter as heroes for saving a newborn's life. The baby is doing well after it was found outside in the cold just an hour or so after she was born. Chad Mills from our Scripps station WFTX in Tampa has the latest as authorities are now searching for the biological mother.
12 a.m. Saturday, Magdalena Gregorio Ordonez heard what she thought was the cry of a cat, but it wasn't.
Adentro, atrás de árbol.
In the patch of woods behind her Mulberry home, she and her 12-year-old daughter found a newborn baby on the ground alone, crying out for help, so they called 911.
I was really surprised that they left a poor little girl on the floor.
The Polk County Sheriff's Office says the girl, which still had her umbilical cord and placenta attached to her, was left for dead by her mother just an hour or so after her birth.
And it was in the low 50s. It was very cool that evening.
The baby's mom is still unknown, even after deputies went door to door at this mobile home park where the 6.5-pound girl was found.
So far, no one has cooperated if they knew anything.
But what Sheriff Grady Judd does know is that there are thousands of better ways to surrender a baby. According to state law, babies 7 days old or younger can be surrendered at any hospital, fire station, or EMS station that has a full-time staff.
You can literally walk up, hand that baby to a firefighter, and drive off and never disclose who you are, and there's no criminal liability for that.
As for the baby found here, except for a few bug bites, she's doing great. The sheriff says that wouldn't be the case if not for her powerful lungs that got these neighbors' attention.
Those people are heroes, true heroes.
Yes, they are. The Polk County Sheriff's Office says when they find the mother, she'll likely be charged with child neglect.
Well, right now we're looking at our temperatures, which are climbing up already. We've got low 80s on the map here at 1012. Just how warm, or should I say hot, is it going to get? We got the answer on the other side of the break.
All right, but first let's get a quick check of your traffic hotspots.
This is the first time I've ever been in an accident. Went to quite a few physicians. You know, these tests, all these tests that they run, they're expensive. I mean, everything was handled by fairer and fairer. It feels great because I'm not getting a whole bunch of bills.
All right, time is now 10:16. You're looking live as Governor Ron DeSantis is speaking right now in Polk County. We are listening in to his remarks. He is speaking on infrastructure. He is calling it the Moving Florida Forward Infrastructure Plan.
All right, let's get a check of your health this morning. We will continue to follow what the governor says and bring you any remarks on the air, and as well as on our website, fox4now.com. The CDC is making it easier to find a free COVID testing site that's located near you. The agency launched the COVID-19 testing locator website, so there's no charge for testing at these sites. It's intended for those who are experiencing symptoms or who have been exposed to the virus. Results are usually provided within 24 to 48 hours. You can find it at testinglocator.cdc.gov.
Meanwhile, the CDC says that an Omicron offshoot is now causing most of the new COVID infections in the U.S. Scientists say this variant is more contagious because it has a key mutation that helps it bind more tightly to our cells. According to new CDC data, the variant is causing more than 91% of COVID cases in the Northeast. That is where it emerged. It is much less prevalent in the Midwest and Western United States, accounting for only about a third of the cases in that part of the country.
All right, let's take a look outside right now, 10:17 on your Monday morning. This is the camera looking at the Caloosahatchee from the Luminary Hotel in downtown Fort Myers. And man, the cloud cover that was there earlier this morning, it is basically non-existent. Beautiful blues.
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to say same thing. Just beautiful blues everywhere you look. Let's go ahead and bring in meteorologist Trent Eric. And Trent, I'm seeing once again not many clouds today, so it's probably going to be hot. You know, yesterday you're walking around, it's like I need a cloud or two over me. You know.
Yeah, and a little bit more of a breeze, right?
Yeah.
Today those winds going to be light out of the southeast, 5 to 10 miles per hour. And all that's going to do is drive our temperatures back up to record levels here in southwest Florida. That southeasterly breeze also kicking up a few showers off the east coast and a few more between Marathon and Big Pine Key. And as we look from Fort Lauderdale to Pembroke Pines, you can see not a lot left after a few early showers tried to make it past US 27. You see the radar sweeping around, very quiet. Our temperatures, look at this, already in the low 80s. Golden Gate, Ochopee, all the way up towards LaBelle. 77 in Fort Myers. That's one above our average of 76 already here at just after 10 o'clock at 10:18. And our temperatures in Naples almost to 80 as well. Yesterday we hit 87, and we're off and running this morning, some 3 to 4 degrees warmer at this point than we were 24 hours ago with that wind out of the southeast. Now, with dew point values very high, around 70, the humidity's back, and we're also seeing the possibility of patchy fog every morning. The good news is all that fog mixes out by about 9, so we're looking good now. And you can see that wind pretty light here throughout the day. We'll see it up 8 miles per hour there around 5 o'clock. Let's get you a check of the forecast as a whole. 86 degrees, sunny and warm. Your sunset time coming up at 6:08. Even at sunset, we're going to be above our average at reading to 86 with tie records set back in 1975. Last time we tied it was back in 91. And you can see how warm we are, especially in the morning hours. We should be down around 55. Record low on this date is 35. Well, the cold air is all up in the Central Plains. Minus 16 in Rapid City, minus 5 in Minneapolis, and minus 9 in Denver. And you can see what's happening here. Areas of low pressure moving right along that old frontal boundary, bringing some heavy rain between Columbus, Charleston, and the Outer Banks. For us, southeasterly wind. And notice not a lot of change. Just a few fair weather clouds and the computer model trying to spit out a shower or two, just indicating that moisture that's going to be around. Southeast breeze for Tuesday. Same idea for Wednesday. It won't be until Friday night that we possibly get some type of change. And the reason that ridge is hanging on strong. You see the jet stream getting very flat, keeping all the cold air to the north. But by Friday, we get just a little bump in the jet stream. That's going to be enough to push that front through. And it looks like we may see a little stronger one here on Monday, February the 6th. So we'll hopefully get right back down to our seasonal averages. Now, as far as Ingman Marine forecast, inland water smooth. There's no problem at all there. Water temperature is at 68. And as we look ahead at the next 7 days, we are anticipating our temperatures to stay very, very warm through Friday. Slight bit cooler there Saturday and Sunday, even though those readings are above average there over the weekend. Going to feel considerably different than where we're at today.
All right, Trent, head on outside. I see the sunshine you're talking about. I-75 near mile marker 134. This is if you're headed maybe towards Daniels Parkway, northbound, southbound. We have plenty of drivers, just no crashes. Outside of the interstate, just a couple of crashes that we are tracking. First off, one of them going to be Daniels and I-75. So this is not on the interstate. It's on Daniels Parkway as you're approaching I-75. Westbound lanes are back in the green. No roadblock reported. If you're headed that way, you might have onlooker delays, but there's nothing nothing blocking you if you are headed to or from I-75 via Daniels Parkway. Here's a new crash for you. It's US 41 right at Old 41 Road. I am seeing maybe a slight delay southbound along US 41. Old 41 Road, though, in all directions, looking nice and green each and every way you're headed. Even though we aren't tracking too many crashes, I have to let you know we do have some bumper-to-bumper traffic along our major highways. For example, US 41 southbound on average only moving at 37 miles per hour. State Road 82 westbound in the yellow also moving at 45 miles per hour on average. Time right now is 10:21. You are watching Fox 4 Morning News.
Well, if you have ever had a part-time job, you know the hours can be somewhat unpredictable. And in certain industries, it means calling employees in last minute or canceling shifts on the fly.
Well, now one state and its lawmakers are trying to put an end to all of that. Megan Lopez is in Denver to break down the wage fairness bill.
Good old Billy. If there's one thing you should know about Abby Vestica, it's that over the years, they've worn a lot of hats.
I originally started in food service, and then I moved into a little bit of like political canvassing and voter registration, and then I went into sales, actually, like door-to-door sales.
A lot of different jobs in a lot of different fields, but always a similar trend. Their hours are either cut abruptly or they're asked to pick up a last-minute shift, causing a lot of unpredictability.
I've had doctor's appointments that I've had routinely scheduled every week that I've had to consistently reschedule.
House Bill 1118 would change that, requiring companies that employ 250 people in restaurants, retail, and more to come up with more predictable scheduling policies.
What we're asking is that employers of these large businesses give their
their hourly employees 2 weeks' notice of what their schedule is going to be.
The bill also allows employees to request to work certain shifts before new hires are offered them. It requires employers to give workers 12 hours off between shifts and pay them if the business decides to cancel a shift last minute.
Employees are still able to switch shifts with their coworkers. They can still, and there's no penalties.
But businesses worry about what this will mean for them. At Wahoo Fish Taco, CFO Lauren McGinley says schedules change for a lot of reasons.
If there's a snowstorm coming in, we don't open.
They also try to be flexible with their staff because some are longtime employees while others are high school kids with last-minute tests or homework.
My biggest fear is that we're going to lose employees. This industry is built around flexibility.
And restaurants are still recovering and dealing with cost increases.
We are struggling, and to layer on another financial responsibility and another roadblock to hiring employees, it can be detrimental.
But Abby says that predictability will mean
I could get my doctor's appointments nailed down. I could go to them. I could be well rested for them. I can just plan ahead.
The bill is scheduled for its first hearing in February.
All right, coming up on Fox 4 Morning News, a memorial service for a fallen Southwest Florida deputy. We are remembering Deputy Chris Taylor this morning from the academy where he first graduated and got into law enforcement.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 Morning News.
Right now at 10:30, you're looking at a warm one already. It's a pretty sight here from our camera that sits on the Luminary Hotel. You see the bridge, Caloosahatchee, and North Fort Myers in the distance. And as we get over to the radar, there's a lack of cloud cover, so you're not going to see a lot as far as rain. We do have a few showers off the East Coast and a few more down in the Florida Keys between Marathon and Big Pine. But otherwise, we're looking at a very quiet day as far as the radar. Now, temperatures, we're going right up there near record levels. We hit 87 yesterday, that tied a record, and now we're looking at low 80s already for LaBelle, Immokalee, 80 in Everglades City. Mid to upper 70s there from the Cape all the way through Arcadia. And you can see that breeze is out of the southeast. A very warm pattern for us, and that's not going to change. We will see some patchy fog again in the morning, but that gets out of here around 9, and our visibility looking pretty good. As far as the rest of the day, a few fair weather clouds later on this afternoon, but as we go hour by hour, boy, you can see those temperatures really cranking up. We're forecasting 86. That would once again, for the second straight day, tie a record.
All right, trying to head on outside. I-75 near mile marker 51. So this is going to be along Alligator Alley. We did have a crash reported in the area, and it looks like not only do we have that, but we also have construction way off in the distance. You can see those flashing lights, so make sure that you're paying attention to those traffic cones, and also deputies and troopers maybe who are trying to help you navigate around all of this. We are at the decline of the morning rush hour, so we're not tracking too many crashes, but just a few to remind you of. This one still listed Daniels Parkway and I-75. I-75 westbound was looking very slow. Now it's just eastbound as you are getting off of the interstate. That sees a slight delay. Also dealing with the crash at US 41 and Old 41 Road. It's US 41 northbound that's picking up some slight bumper-to-bumper traffic according to my sensors. That's your morning traffic.
Well, this morning there's a special ceremony taking place to honor a fallen law enforcement officer. He was killed in the line of duty. His name is Deputy Chris Taylor with the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, horrible story. Died while conducting a routine traffic stop. This morning, Fox 4's Elise Shingari is joining us live from the Southwest Florida Public Service Academy for that memorial. Elise.
Good morning, Amy and Ryan. Yes, Deputy Christopher Taylor was killed in the line of duty back in November. He was just 23 years old. And when I say just 23 years old, you know, that sounds so young. And when I was talking to his uncle here today, he also wanted to make it a point that Deputy Taylor's birthday, his 23rd birthday, was just days before he was killed in the line of duty back in November by a suspected drunk driver. He also wanted you, the community, to know that he was a good person. And he said that Christopher always grew up and wanted to be in law enforcement, and the family just wishes today that they would be able to grow and go forward and see all the accomplishments that he would have made. Today, the family gathered here today at the Academy to lay this brick down right here. As you can see, it says Christopher Taylor, Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, end of watch 11/22/2022. Obviously an emotional day here today. We saw people gathered, family, friends. Deputy Taylor's parents were here, his grandparents, also his fiancee Maddie, again his uncle as well with the same name of Christopher. I was speaking to them today after the ceremony, but again, it was emotional. We saw deputies from the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, Lee County Sheriff's Office, as well as officers with Fort Myers Police Department. Again, this ceremony took place here at the Southwest Florida Public Service Academy. Something else that they pointed out today is that the men and women who are here in training, this is something that they can walk past this garden here to remember the officers and deputies who died in the line of duty. Again, you can see that brick that was laid right here. They actually had, you know, something placed over it, and then the family came here and removed that, make sure they placed a flower there. They were taking pictures here as well. But again, it was emotional. I did speak, as you heard, with Deputy Taylor's uncle. You will hear more from him tonight on Fox 4 News at 6 o'clock. But Deputy Taylor, his brick here makes it the 44th brick to be laid here to remember the lives lost in the line of duty. Again, make sure you tune in tonight at Fox 4 News at 6 o'clock for the full story from this ceremony. Live here in Fort Myers, Elise Chingari, Fox 4.
All right, thanks for that, Elise. Time is now 10:34. President Biden is hitting the road to tout new federal spending projects today. It's a run-up to next week's State of the Union address as the White House is honing in on a message for a likely re-election effort. Fox's Doug Lazader is in D.C. with more of the emerging themes from Washington.
The president will spend much of the week talking about the economy, but we're also seeing next week's State of the Union address taking shape. President Biden finished the weekend in Delaware, and a tweet yesterday summarized what will likely be his message in the days ahead. My word as a Biden, I've never been more optimistic about America's future than I am today. Well, today he'll head to Baltimore to tout a tunnel project that's part of last year's big infrastructure package. And he's facing a doubtful public, with a new NBC News poll showing 71% of Americans think the country is heading in the wrong direction.
The one thing I do know is we cannot continue the waste that is happening.
On Wednesday, the president will sit down with the new Republican Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. Will the two find a way to raise the nation's debt ceiling to avoid a possible default later this year? Next week's State of the Union address may lay out the president's case that he will not negotiate on that front. And it's likely the speech will now include a renewed push for police reform in response to the death of Tyree Nichols at the hands of Memphis police, which has touched off protests around the country. His family is reportedly set to attend the address as lawmakers talk about moving forward.
These men and women with badges put them on each day and risk their lives for us. I know that. But we also see from these videos horrible conduct by these same officers and unacceptable situations. We've got to change this for the better.
And there will also be more talk here on Capitol Hill this week about the ongoing investigations into the handling of classified documents. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
Of course, we are poised for gridlock in D.C. for the next 2 years, with Republicans controlling the House of Representatives and Democrats controlling the Senate. Meanwhile, on the state level, a lot of changes to state laws are happening more and more frequently because more and more one-party rule. It's something known as a government trifecta. That's when one political party controls the governor's office, the state Senate, and the state House, similar to what you have in Florida. There are 22 states, obviously including Florida, where Republicans have a so-called trifecta. Democrats have a trifecta in 17 states. There are only 11 states in the U.S. where there is still a divided state government. More trifectas exist now than any time in the last 30 years. This matters because if one party is controlling your state government, more laws will likely be passed, whether you want them to or not. According to a professor that we spoke with from the University of Hawaii, one-party rule may mean more laws are passed in more states. However, it can also lead to things like voter apathy over time, even corruption. With state legislatures across the U.S. just beginning to get their 2023 work underway, remember, gridlock may not happen there, even if Washington is divided.
Well, Fox 4 is learning more about a possible lawsuit that could push back on Governor DeSantis' decision to ban an advanced placement course in Florida schools. Sinai Gabrielioris shows us why the NAACP in Northern Florida wants to file an injunction.
In their quarterly meeting of the Florida State Conference held in Orlando, NAACP chapters from all across the state were joined by elected officials to open with a main message.
Our intent is to litigate vigorously on the grounds of equal protection.
The group held a press conference Saturday morning to share its disapproval of the state's decision to block the teaching of an AP African American Studies course in public high schools.
My own culture of history, which is a part of American history, is being removed.
Earlier this week, National Civil Rights Attorney Ben Crump threatened the state with a lawsuit. The NAACP says it may file one of its own.
So many people of color have died for us to have the rights that we have today. So we won't shut up, we won't quit, we won't go away.
Dr. LaVon Bracey shared her story of struggles and sacrifice when she integrated the public school system in Alachua County in 1965.
I was spit on every day, I was beaten.
At that time, the NAACP filed a lawsuit against the county school board and won. Bracey says her experience is a piece of America's history.
If my story makes people uncomfortable, that's the history. That actually happened. I cannot whitewash it. I cannot make it sound good because what happened to me was not good.
The Department of Education found concerns in 6 areas of the pilot AP African American Studies course. It included Black queer studies, the movement for Black lives, and the Black struggle in the 21st century. Republican Governor Ron DeSantis stood by the DOE's rejection.
We have guidelines and standards in Florida. We want education, not indoctrination.
The College Board says it will release the framework of the course on Wednesday, February 1st, the first day of Black History Month.
All right, parents throughout Florida continue to debate which books should be allowed in schools. On Friday, the Manatee County School Board took up the issue, including a parent's right to request a book that's under review. The district has 30 books awaiting review. The district notes every school library already has a vetting process in place.
Time is now 10:40. Developing this morning, the latest from an explosion at a mosque in Pakistan that killed at least 34 people. That mosque is located inside a police compound. Officers say that government officials say that the bomber detonated a vest during afternoon prayers. Along with the 34 people killed, another 150 people were injured. A commander for the Taliban in Pakistan has claimed responsibility for the attack on Twitter.
Well, right now you look across the U.S., we're anywhere from -16 in Rapid City to 80 in Miami, and we're going to be even warmer than that here today. We'll talk about our hot stretch of weather coming up after the break.
I honestly feel like it would have been the death bell of youth sports in this county.
But nothing was able to stop this local Little League from getting back on the field. The one change they'd still love to see from local leaders so the kids can play ball safely.
All right, but first let's get a quick check of your traffic hotspots.
This is the first time I've ever been in an accident. I went to quite a few physicians. You know, these tests, all these tests that they run, they're expensive. I mean, everything was handled by fairer and fairer. It feels great because I'm not getting a whole bunch of bills.
All right, it was a day to celebrate the pirate lifestyle in Tampa this weekend. The Gasparilla Pirate Festival made its return. Had the nature boy there. From the balconies to the streets, thousands of people coming out to celebrate the invasion. Tampa's original Buccaneers made their way down historic Bayshore Boulevard and into downtown Tampa. There were more than 100 floats, there were 5 marching bands, and 50 crews taking part in the parade. Meanwhile, some local officers went up there. These are the mounted unit from Lee County Sheriff's Office. The Marine unit was also up there. That's Sheriff Carmine Marcino hanging out with a member of InSync. The dozens of other law enforcement agencies all up in Tampa providing safety as well.
All right, well, take a look at your screen. In California, San Bernardino County deputies released this video of a rescue that happened over the weekend. So deputies say a person was hiking between Timber Mountain and Ice House Saddle, and they apparently slipped 50 feet because it was so icy. I'm sure for the person slipping, that 50 feet felt like an eternity.
Wow.
Yeah, the hiker called for help, reporting he wouldn't be able to get back on the trail because it was so icy, and you can see the rescue crews came, they spotted him, and they were able to get him to safety.
And this is one of those days where we kind of rub it in to everybody else in the country that we don't have anything like that now as we bring in Trent.
Yeah, you're saying the only ice is in your drink
Yeah,
at
right?
lunchtime.
Yeah.
We're going up to upper 80s again today. We hit 87 yesterday. That tied a record as it felt like summer. Now, with a southeasterly flow, we look at the radar because typically we see a couple of showers with that, and we are seeing that down in the Florida Keys. Very warm flow out of the southeast. We saw a few move through Broward County and died out once they got near US 27. As the radar beam goes by, we see not a whole lot happening. So our temperatures right now, mid to upper 70s with mid 80s. LaBelle, Immokalee, 84 degrees already. 77 out of Pagefield. That's a degree above our average of 76. We're not even to 11 o'clock yet. And as you look, we are 4 to 5 degrees warmer inland and down towards Golden Gate and Marco, and even a degree or two ahead up in Northport and Port Charlotte. Our wind is out of the southeast near 10 in Arcadia, 8 Immokalee. So 5 to 10 is where we're going to see it settle in. And boy, has it brought the humidity back. Our dew point value sitting here in the upper 60s to around 70. That is a very humid reading. Now, as far as the visibility, we have some patchy fog, limited visibility along the Peace River and near the lake. Around 9 o'clock, that mixes out. Keep that in mind because tomorrow we're going to see a repeat forecast in the morning. And as long as the southeasterly breeze is around, keeping that moisture in play, you can see our forecast calls for a high temperature of 86 as we're going to be sunny and warm. Your sunset time coming up there at 6:08. Now, as far as the readings here, the record is 86 back at 75, and it hit that again in 91, tying that mark. We have the potential to do it again today. Record low is 35, and boy, you can see the cold air. Minus 16 Rapid City, minus 5 Minneapolis, and we're pretty warm here across the eastern seaboard as we've got this old frontal boundary, and it is dumping quite a bit of rainfall here between Atlanta and the Outer Banks. Now to the south, you've got this wind coming in out of the southeast, and it doesn't budge. This afternoon, a few fair weather clouds. We're looking ahead towards tomorrow. There are no significant changes here through midweek. Let me show you why. Ridge of high pressure in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere holding on strong. That's keeping all the cold air to the north. No jet stream dips, and it is very flat. This is what we call a zonal pattern. And then we finally get just a little bump there Friday night into Saturday before a more significant cool down expected on Monday, February the 6th. If you're thinking about heading out of the water, there are no issues at all. Seas foot or less. Inland water smooth. The water temperature at 68. So again, this afternoon, we are going to be warm, 86 degrees. Overnight tonight, we'll dip into the mid to upper 60s with patchy fog. And the 7-day forecast, it's going to stay warm all the way, not only through Wednesday, but through Thursday before we see that weak front move through late Friday and even the weekend. Even though it's just a touch cooler, those are readings still above average. We expect a breezy weekend.
All right, Trent, headed on outside. Things look busy, but at least they're looking clear crash-wise. This is going to be mile marker 50 along Alligator Alley. We were tracking a couple of crashes along the alley. Those have since cleared up. The only thing you're dealing with is going to be the construction. So if you're headed that way, troopers are out there helping you navigate around this. You also have the traffic cones that are up, so make sure you're just paying extra close attention so that way we don't have to track any more crashes along the alley. Really not too many crashes to talk about, period, right now. We have one lingering. It's US 41 and Old 41 Road, seeing some delays as you head northbound along US 41, also the southbound lanes, but that could just be typical bumper-to-bumper traffic. A great way to gauge how the morning commute is shaping up, always going to be the Lee County Bridge times. Right now, it's the Cape Coral Bridge that is looking the slowest. So as you head from Del Prado eastbound to McGregor, that stretches in the yellow, only going to take you 3 minutes, though. The Midpoint Bridge, the same stretch as in the green, also going to take you 3 minutes.
All right, the sun is coming up in Arizona, the site for Super Bowl 57. It's in 13 days from now. The teams have been decided. Coming up after the break, we're going to take you to Philadelphia and Kansas City. Our fans were hitting the streets in celebration last night.
All right, at 10:53, we want to update you on some breaking news in Lee County. The boil water notice on Sanibel Island has been lifted for people who live specifically at the Calusa Shores area. So that includes Calusa End Lane, Punta Calusa Court, Indian Court, and Calusa Drive. This came after the installation of a new water main, and they have tested the quality of the water. You are good to go if you live in those areas. Again, if you need to hear those, we've got them on our website, fox4now.com. Did you see the games last night? Yesterday, it's official. The Philadelphia Eagles will be playing the Kansas City Chiefs in Arizona for Super Bowl 57. Last night, the Chiefs scored the game-winning field goal, beating the Cincinnati Bengals by 3 points. Meanwhile, the Eagles won the NFC Championship in a landslide yesterday against the San Francisco 49ers. The final score was 31-7.
And it was a night of celebration. These were Philly fans in Philadelphia crowding the streets, taking to there. It looks like they're mostly behaved, although that last video we saw, it looked like someone was shooting off fireworks, but it seems like everybody was behaved there. Meanwhile, we head next to Kansas City as fans were celebrating at Power and Light District. They were rocking there just seas of green in Philadelphia, seas of red and yellow in Kansas City as the Chiefs take on the Eagles. It's going to be the Andy Reid Super Bowl. Basically, longtime coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now he's a longtime coach of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Nice.
It'll be one of the many matchups to be watching for that.
Yes, and we have the Super Bowl right here on Fox 4, so it's going to be an exciting game to see.
13 days from now, not that I'm counting
You're not
down.
counting. Yeah, no, not at all.
All right, speaking of sports, it's local Little Leaguers are excited to get back on the field after Hurricane Ian canceled their fall season.
Right, Fox 4's Yvette Sanchez is showing us how a major obstacle was cleared this weekend to let baseball practice start for the first time since the storm.
I think it's pretty amazing how quickly that Howard was able to get them out here.
Stacy Barrientos and her son were finally ready to play spring ball.
Oh, he was extremely disappointed at first because he was really looking forward to being in this organization this year.
Barrientos and her son's reaction after Lee County shut down athletic fields after stadium-style lights collapsed at Estero Park.
We love baseball and we try to do all year round, so we were all actually really disappointed.
After no fall ball because of Hurricane Ian and the possibility of no spring ball.
All right, runners, when you're ready, lines out here.
President of the South Fort Myers Youth Baseball League, Howard Gold, jumped into action.
Just got on the phone and made a few calls because I honestly feel like it would have been the death bell of youth sports in this county.
To hear that we were able to start practice so quickly and right away, not even skip a beat, was pretty amazing. We were all really excited.
Barrientos, Gold, and the kids are ready to get the season started, hoping the county fixes the lights quickly
so that we can have normal practices during the week and be able to have as many practices and games as we need to this season without having the light be an issue.
That way, they could add more championship banners to the collection of over 100 already with the Little League organization. In Fort Myers, Yvette Sanchez, Fox 4.
Well, before we let you go, if you're just joining in late, want to get a quick check of the forecast. It's going to be a hot one. 86 today. That would tie a record. It's going to be warm for the next couple of days.
Unbelievable. You watching all the football games up north? People are freezing cold.
I know, their lips are purple. Meanwhile, we're like, put the sunscreen on. You're going to need it.
All right. We'll see you guys at 5.
Bye.